People, welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl Adara, and I am Sharif, and we already have Big Kyle Burdett hanging out with us in the chat, as well as one of the OGs there, Darwin. What's up, my man? Callum Mitchell-Miller making his presence felt, as well as Chucky. What's going on, Chucky? How are you? We'll wait for some other people to come in from the other stream. We already have 4 lats with a bit of a happy face there. What's up to you, my man? Hope you're doing well. Hope your trading day be going as smooth as possible. A lot of good trades for this market today. We'll get to them very shortly. All right, 1320 Wolf. We got TH, Kyle Taylor, Aaron, and Joanna Brewster. We got Odyssey fights, as well as Stock Up with Jason Walcott and Day Trader Cuts. Starvin Lake, FFTB, and Big Boy Fiddleback as well is in the house, as well as Atif. Good morning, Adair.
Good morning. How are you? Happy belated birthday.
Thank
also,
you.
I feel like we're not wearing the same color in real life, but it looks like we are in the camera, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah, a little bit different.
They're pretty close.
Yours is a little lighter.
I like the pattern. But yeah, how are you? What have you been looking at this fine? What day is it? Wednesday?
Yeah, let's have a look at the small cap gappers because everything's moving, to the high side today in a large cap world. Obviously, you've heard Neil mention this umpteen amount of times. LUCY, Lucy, getting another go at things today, making their way up to $1.33, below $1 right now. So there's a bit of a fight here between buyers and sellers at that $1 level. Also happens to be the 10 period on the 5, so we'll keep eyes on that as well. ASTS making a hell of a move up here. Started its life at $1.05 1/3, and now it's 7 3/4 to the high side. This one has been in a bit of a dalliance with the 10 period on the 5, so we'll keep eyes on ASTS. Number 2 gap scanner on my list, up 45% with 43.6 million shares of volume. The market cap is a little larger on ASTS. It's about $2 billion with a float of 120 million shares, so a bit larger. This is not really a small cap gapper. So are some of these as well. ANF is not a small cap gapper. Neither is Chewy, but they're acting like it today off earnings reports. So we're going to put these two on the side chart here as we'll call them, honorary small cap gappers. And then we have SMMT, another good day for this one as well. 20% of the good. Volume a little lighter though on SMMT. Really bad day yesterday, as you can see there. I'm not sure what the headline, nor do I really care. 3 1/3 to the downside. Now it's doing a bit of a rounded bottom. Shout out to the NOS boss there. Keep your eye out for resistance at 3 1/3. That was where we closed out yesterday. So SMMT on watch today. This one, another non-small cap gapper. This is $2 billion market cap with a float of 83.25 million shares. So a lot of these names on the side chart today don't exactly fit the profile. Last but not least, BNED, 76% in the clear now. This one's really getting to go at things here. It was above the volume weighted average price, but look, this one doesn't seem to be respecting anything to do with VWAP. So I'm not going to be trading this with the same kind of setup that I typically take with my small cap gappers, like, above that pre-market high, trading above the volume weighted average price. This one is not really showing you its propensity to respect those levels. So I'll trade it as an upward channel if I do trade it, because that's exactly how it's looking at these moments. At this moment, look for rejection off the high and a bounce off this low end of the trend line there.
Yeah, I mean, also Kyle Burdett has given a lovely welcome back super chat here.
Appreciate
$2.
Big Kyle.
Thank you so much, Kyle Burdett.
Big Kyle.
Yeah, with lots of exclamation points. Thank you to Kyle Burdett. Speaking of Kyle Burdett, he was actually mentioning SBUX in the chat, and I liked it, and I like that it's kind of below VWAP. Do I think there's a range here? Yeah. Have I gotten involved? That would also be a yes. So thank you, Kyle, for mentioning this. I want to see us keep projecting that 77.80. So I'm risking about 12 pennies. I want minimum into the bottom of this range here, around that 77.50s, at least on a wick basis. I think that could be a nice little look here. I've been actually involved already in a few trades, even though I've been sitting here for about 15 minutes, so I guess we're pretty excitable today. One of these was Apple, which honestly I'll still play this, because to me there's like a really clear defined range here. This is what I like. I think we could be rejecting it here, so I want to wait for some confirmation. Got involved at the bottom, got out kind of as we got near the top. I wanted to add more to this. I wasn't able to add. It was what it was. No complaints, no regrets. So shout out there to that one. Also Tesla, this was an interesting one. So I initially got involved in this short. I liked it because we were at that point rejecting 177.50. I was like, or 175.50. I was like, cool, let's take the short. I get involved and it violently pops into exactly where I wanted to get out, that 175.80. I was like, perfect, get out while you can. Pops up another like 20 pennies and then it kind of stagnates. And I noticed where it's having the stagnation is A, a lower high, and B, kind of that area we keep rejecting around 176. So I said, Adara, take the short. It was a quick scalp. We were just kind of get back into the swing of things in the world of scalping. So not too bad there. I think my biggest issue yesterday, as I kind of mentioned, was having ideas that were okay and building them, which is always great, but paper handing them, which was less great. So we're going to work less on paper handing and more on, like, you can commit to ideas for longer, but as long as you have a commitment in terms of profit taking, because that's the whole point. So there we go. But you know what else is great? Trading futures.
All right, let's get to the lesson of the day. We're talking about futures trading all week. Thank you to Obi for stepping in and covering yesterday. Today, we're going to talk about trading futures off key areas of support and resistance. So this lesson dives into using support and resistance zones for intraday futures trading. We'll identify key factors to assess potential breakouts or reversals at said level. So let's get right to it. So as we typically do, we'll just start off by summarizing some of the key concepts we're going to discuss. What is support and resistance? Most of us will know what this is. So imagine a tug of war between buyers, which is demand, and sellers, which is the supply. Support is a price area where buyers tend to step in, pushing the price back up. Conversely, resistance is where sellers become active, halting the price increase and potentially reversing the trend. Visualize these areas on a price chart. As you can see here, thank you, Adair, for adding this in. You have resistance to the high side every time the price action on what this, I think, believe is SMH, comes into this price level here. It seems to be met with a wall of selling. Conversely, when it comes into that price here, it seems to be met with exuberant buying. So very clear cut. Typically in real life, it's not so clear cut, but that's kind of what we're trying to get at here, okay? Identifying areas of support and resistance, super important, obviously, to this type of trade. So there are various methods to identify support and resistance. Firstly, you guys always see me charting the closing print of the prior day on the intraday chart. I don't care if it's futures, a small cap gapper, a large cap name. I will always put a horizontal line on the closing print from yesterday. The money that is hanging out at the close is the more committed money. It's the money that I want to have notice of, okay? So that's what I always chart that. But you should always be charting as well the prior day high and the prior day low, because that is clear areas of support and resistance on an intraday basis. Horizontal lines as well. If there is a specific price that has nothing to do with the close or the open or the high or the low, but seems to be coming in on the 4-hour chart over and over and over, in the daily chart over and over and over, chart it, especially if you're close to it. You never know exactly how it'll factor in. So horizontal lines of key areas of support and resistance should absolutely be charted. Go to the wider time frames to get a better look as well. And trend lines. You always see me draw these as well. We talked about the trend, the downward channel on Li Auto. In fact, it's still holding to this day. I'm going to take this opportunity to show it to you now, because I might get back into this name, because it's absolutely holding up this daily resistance low. Here's the look on Li Auto. This is not by accident, guys. I mean, this was over here. This was an outlying event. This was an earnings report that got sold off super quick. But look, for the exception of that one-off event, it's really held it to the T. So this bottom end of the channel is at, 1, 2, 3. Now the 4th time it's holding up here. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Keep your, draw your trend lines as far as they will go, because you never know how they'll factor in at a later point, okay? So those are the 3 things: your prior day high, close, and low, your horizontal lines on the wider time frame, as well as your trend lines. And here are examples of some over here. There is your horizontal lines showing a key area of support on the SPY at that 163 level. That was like a long time ago. SPY's in $400 territory now. All right, so that's basically the look there. All right, so your support. So trading at the support and resistance zones. How are you doing that? So now comes the key part. Understanding price action at these zones to determine potential breakouts or reversals. here's what to look for. If you're looking for support, you're looking for price tests, right? You're looking for price approaching the support zone. If it bounces with strong buying volume, which is essentially more green bars on the volume graph than red, a reversal is more likely. But there are also false breaks that you need to be aware of, right? Price dips slightly below support, then quickly recovers. This indicates buying pressure and a potential upside, so that if you get a false break and then it quickly recovers, that could be a buying opportunity. And look for confirmation candlesticks. We talked about this a lot on our week on candlestick patterns. When the price action comes to that key area of support, look for something bullish in the candlestick patterns or the chart patterns. Like, for example, look for an inverse head and shoulders off key support. Look for a double bottom, a triple bottom, anything reversal related, okay, at that support level. Or look for candlestick patterns that are bullish. A bullish engulfing candle, for example, a hammer candle. So look for something candlestick chart pattern related at the key area of support to give you that other check mark beside it. Very similar stuff for resistance, price test. So similar to support, observe price action at resistance. If it gets rejected with strong selling volume, which is more bars on the sell side, obviously, a reversal downwards is more likely. And think about failed breakout in the same way that you look at a false break. So a failed breakout, which is a failed break up, actually, a price pushes slightly above resistance but falls back quickly. This signifies selling pressure and potential downside. That could be your entry opportunity. And similarly, confirmation candlesticks, look for a head and shoulders pattern to possibly appear at the key area of resistance, a double top, a triple top, a bearish engulfing, a topping tail candle, anything bearish related showing up at the same price area of key area of resistance. And some additional considerations to keep your mind on: market context. You really need to consider the overall market trend. Is the market bullish at the moment? If it is, it makes the continuations more likely. If it's not, if it's bearish, you may get quicker reversals. If it's ranging, you might get false breaks umpteen amount to the high side and the low side. And so if you're a trend trader, you may want to stay away from ranging markets, but you could augment your trading style. Indicators as well. Combine support and resistance with technical indicators like the relative strength index, like the moving average convergence divergence for additional confirmation of breakouts or reversals. However, indicators should complement, not replace, price action analysis. So they're an assistance, they're not a replacement. And risk management. Always have stop loss orders in place. Whether hard or mental, as long as you follow them and you execute to limit potential losses if the price breaks against your predicted position. And remember, guys, support and resistance zones are areas. They are not exact prices. Prices can fluctuate within these zones before breaking or reversing, and that is part and parcel of the risk of trading. And false breakouts and failed retests are so common, especially in intraday trading, far more common in intraday than on swings or longer term. Don't chase every price that touches the zones. Be cognizant of confirmation indicators and backtest your strategy, especially on historical data, to understand the effectiveness before risking real capital. And there's nothing wrong with trading in the sim, guys.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who spent a long time in the sim, I am, we say like no stop loss gang. We're not no stop loss gang. We are pro stop loss gang. I am also pro sim nation. Sometimes you do need that. It helps you get a better sense of how you trade. And as someone who spent a good while in the sim, I am very much pro sim. Yeah, thank you so much, Sheree, for putting that lesson there together. I think some people are appreciating as well that we're talking about the futures in the chat. So that is a good time as well. Speaking of the futures, I actually have my eyes on the SPY. So I'm going to pull up the SPY here. I think that this one has been interesting. This is one I traded the SPY a little bit in the sim, speaking of the sim, and it's one that I actually have not had the opportunity yet to trade live. And when I say that, I mean I haven't had a setup that I'm just like obsessed with, or I just haven't been able to get in like where I want to get in. I'm just not getting filled. But so the SPY here, I did like that 526, where was this, 526.40? I thought that was interesting as a level. Why? I mean, come on, look at this little pre-market support. I saw that, I was like, okay, I see you, SPY. I'm spying what you're putting down, okay. And initially I was like, could a long hold up here? Quickly realized that was a no-go, so I didn't do that. But if we keep seeing that rejection off that area, will I go short off previous support? Oh, yes, indeed. That was an accidental rhyme. I'm becoming Dr. Seuss here. But I do want to also, I want to shout out Kyle Burdett here. So thank you so much for mentioning that Starbucks trade because, yeah, this was a nice little venti profit taker here. This worked out pretty well here. Got involved off that, the kind of the top of that range, got out half of the bottom of the range, then saved a piece for the trade. We got as low as like these 25s. Wish I could have taken profit there. We came back up with the vicious. I was like, you know what, Adara, it's okay. See what we do. I did not like the viciousness with which we came towards 40. So got out, only got part filled at 40s, got the rest out, I think around 42. So please just punch. The one thing I always want to work on is how can I intensify the trades? How can I heighten them? How can I improve upon them, right? So happy with that. Right now, Starbucks is my best name. But yeah, the reason I got out where I did instead of waiting to see if it went any lower is because my biggest issue has been with paper handing as of late. Someone in the chat was like, oh, I thought you were a scalper. And it's like, yeah, I think I am a scalper. I need to scalp more. And I can have these moves where I try to hold longer. But you need to remember, like Adara, the whole point of profit taking is taking profit. So take your profit and don't just wait for the move to go against you like I did yesterday with PDD. So PDD, this is not a revenge trade. I legitimately just like these lower highs. Initially, I wanted the 24s, and then I canceled my order because I was like, Adara, you don't want to be caught up like sipping your Starbucks, and then PDD goes against you. So I'm going to get in 24s. If we break above 50s, I'm going to risk about 25 pennies. Then I'll get out. I am continuously wanting these lower highs, lower lows, and I want enough shares here that I'll be able to piece this out. But that being said, if I see anything go against me, I will run for the hills. That is what I will do. How is the dead one going for you?
Good. Just looking at it, guys. I am in the sim today because I am locked out because I have to do my compliance exam. It's been a year, so I'll have to do that before I can get back into live. So today we're going to be doing some sim trades. We're still going to take it very seriously as we always do. So just know that while I'm trading today, we're not going to have the full book on my level 2. We're only going to have the sim book as well as, you know, my trades will be in the sim. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm looking at Softy right now because the soft one is right at the volume weighted average price, and it's been not a strong name today, but definitely a lot higher off the bottom. 425 and a half was where we got there in the pre-market, and we made our way all the way back up into 430.70. We put in a whole bunch of topping tail candles at that same area that we came into yesterday and had the same rejection. Now we're at the volume weighted average price. We're at the 50. I want to see exactly what we do here. I was actually looking at Apple for a hold at VWAP as well. And by the time I logged out of my live and logged back into the sim, it had basically come all the way down below the volume weighted average price. So I won't base a trade on Apple at VWAP at this level. I wanted to take something on Apple because it has been strong. It has a headline today, multiple headlines. You know, there's a whole article that I read this morning about the iPhone 16 and how it's going to create a super cycle. I'm not going to go into that again, but there's actual headlines with Bank of America as well as this other thing that came in midday. What was this thing over here?
The AC/DC thing.
Yeah, whatever that is. Oh, and there's also this headline out of China, too. Wow, I did not expect this. A Chinese court has dismissed a local consumer's case against Apple. Commission on purpose through its App Store, Bloomberg Report. I did not think Apple would be winning anything legal in China, but there you go, guys. So Shanghai court rules in favor of Apple and App Store fees legal battle. Probably won't win that on this side of the ocean, but in any event, coming down now off high, so that's not enough to keep Apple elevated, coming down into that 191, so we'll keep eyes on that. I'm still interested in this Microsoft hold here at 429.
That's a nice look on Microsoft. I am making the maybe eyebrow-raising decision to short Tesla. And I say that, and I'm like, actually, no, I don't hate the Tesla short. I just think my attempts on the Tesla short earlier were like, arr? Like the Scooby-Doo face moment. And I say that because, so like the second short was fine, whatever, but I should have held it for longer than I did. I took a cool pennies and was like, okay, I'm gonna yeet and look at other charts, which is maybe not the vibe, but it's all good. The second short, proud of the management, not proud of the idea. I should have waited to see us test that 176 and getting involved at 175.50s. When we saw that previous support area. So I think there are some opportunities here. I just think at this point it would be kind of chasing waterfalls if I try to get involved until before seeing another rejection. You know, we don't want to go chasing waterfalls over here. PDD, I was not invited. I am displeased as punch because I wanted to get involved at 152. And in retrospect, I should have just kept my order open at 152.25, but I was like, Dara, you're looking at Starbucks. Like, what if you forget? And I don't know what that voice was. But yeah, so I mean, if we continue seeing lower highs and the next level I'm targeting is going to be around 152s, then I'm interested. But if I don't have that opportunity, then I will not be interested. Because I just want to wait. I want to be patient. I want to wait. I really just want to be targeting, looking at specific names. Speaking of which, the SPY is coming to that area I've been spying, and that's going to be around 526.40. So I might bat that fly in the SPY to the downside, and I'm going to stop rhyming now. But yeah, good times over here in these here markets. And yeah, I mean, this SPY, I do like this look. What's everyone else looking at here? Lucy going, says Richard V. Let's take a look at that Lucy. But we also have something else we're going to be looking at in a little bit here as well. Let's take a quick look at, oh, wow, Lucy. Lucy. Oh, my God. I see you see, we all see Lucy. Oh, my gosh. This bounce off that $1 level. This $1 level is crazy support. I might have to keep an eye on that. But you know what else you should keep an eye on is going to be our friends over here at the Vinfast.
Yes.
So we're going to look at them. Thank you so much to Vinfast.
Yes, Vinfast VF8 SUV has earned 5 top safety awards from the new car assessment program for Southeast Asia, including Best Overall and Best SUV. Competing against 15 major automakers, Vinfast VF8 was recognized for its outstanding safety features like forward collision warning and blind spot detection. This accomplishment underscores Vinfast's commitment to safety and innovation in electrified mobility. Congratulations to Vinfast for setting new standards in automotive safety. Stay tuned for more updates. And that is the VF8, in case you're wondering, right there. And that is the Canadian price. So interesting look there. Shout out to our sponsors, Vinfast, for sponsoring this segment. All right, guys, I am long Microsoft. I know that the position board was showing something else. Again, guys, I am in the sim today until I can figure out my compliance exam. So long softy here for the dip onto the volume weighted average price. It did break 429 ever so briefly, was able to make it its way back into 429.5, but being the spready one that Microsoft is, it did cross, but I was not able to get filled. We're long at 429.15, looking for a possible move back up, at least into the closing print yesterday, which happens to be that 430 and a third. So long softy at these levels, looking for a move up. Let's look at some of the other names here. We covered some of the small cap gappers, but we didn't say a whole lot about the large cap names. So I mentioned Apple already and the plethora of headlines that it has on the day, but look at what Amazon's doing here. 0.75% to the good, and Amazon had a bit of a rangy day yesterday, but Thursday was a bit of a tougher day for Softy. So the levels that we have from Thursday, when we were back above yesterday's and Friday's levels, is at 184.75. That was the top that we put in on Amazon back on, I believe, Thursday, and we're not too far away from it. So 184.08 HOD. We're about to come back into 184, at least it looks like right now, 183.5 and change. So if we make it back into that 184 and 2/3, 184 and 3/4, that will be an interesting level off which to get short. Great looking bull flag today for AMZN, and a quick dip there, 182, mid 80s into the volume weighted average price, got bought up quite quickly there, and that ended up in a hammer candle. So good look for Amazon on the day. We'll keep eyes on that. Meta, very similar look here to Microsoft in the fact that it had a nice move off the open, made sequentially higher highs, and now we get that 3 straight red candles to the downside, holding up though, like Microsoft, at the volume weighted average price. VWAP up on my chart, 477 and 2/3, 478 being fought with now between buyers and sellers. Good look on META, still down 1/3% though. Most things are down really except Apple. So we'll keep eyes on that. A nice recovery off NVDA there, but this is what's interesting to me here about NVIDIA is that we came into those pre-market highs at around that we put in around 7:50, 8 a.m., which was essentially $1,150. And we still haven't been able to break $1,150. We didn't break it yesterday, and we're having trouble with it today. So 1150, all eyes on 1150 or thereabouts. It's a $1,150 name. So when I say 1150, it should really mean like 1140 to 1150. So we'll keep eyes on that name because it's been having a whole lot of trouble breaking through that level.
You know what's also wild about NVIDIA, and I was saying this to Obi yesterday, how can NVIDIA be like $1,100 and have a better spread than Meta? I don't get it. I do not understand. Right now, the spread's a little like spreadier. It's about like 40 pennies, but yesterday, NVIDIA had like, I swear, an under 10-cent spread at times, and Meta was over here with like 20 to 30 pennies. So right now, Meta, your spread's actually better, so that's nice. Meta bouncing off VWAP, actually. I literally only brought this up so I could clown on its spread, and yet I'm actually really liking these VWAP bounces. That being said, we're having a lower high, so I want to be cognizant of that, but I do like how we're bouncing off VWAP here pretty nicely, especially with that kind of bottoming tail candle here, so I do not mind Meta at all. Going to be watching out for that. Tesla, I don't know why I'm so determined to short you. Actually, I do. You keep having like rejection at certain areas. Oh, I'm talking to the stock now here. But I like that 175.50. And as I say that, Tesla's like, nah, I'm going to go lower. So happy I didn't rush into it, though, because the last time I tried to take a Tesla 175.50 short, that did not work. Now this might be the time, and this is why I also don't want to rush in, because I don't want it to be like I'm revenge trading this. I do like this level. I just need for it to materialize in the way I like. I still think the better short here is 176, but if 176.50 is what you get what you get, and you don't get upset. I also want to pull up AMD here. Shout out to Kyle Burdett for mentioning AMD. AMD is like, I wouldn't say it's a regular resident on my side chart, but it has it rents. It's got like a timeshare. It'll be there semi-frequently. But so this 167 level I think is really interesting. If you look at kind of where we had in the pre-market heading right into the open, we kind of come up to 167. AMD is on a really nice, beautiful upturn, but I think if there are places we could head to the downside, I think 170, why do I keep saying 170? 167 and 167.50, both kind of interesting levels for me personally. So this could be, although as Sebastian is saying, AMD is in fact climbing, so I want to be cognizant of that. I don't know why I'm so short biased. It is kind of maybe my kryptonite. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you got to switch that bias, turn that upside down. I am proud of what I did in this buy short, though. Obviously, happy I got it where I did, risked about 10 pennies, lost about 10 pennies. Please just punch. I did still like that 526.40 level because of that previous support. And what I was noticing when we did that level last time we tried, didn't end up working out, but it was looking like it was holding for a half second there, so still happy with the entry. Also, I should have noticed, like, hey, Adara, sure, we're at previous support here, but what about how we're bouncing off that previous support? Like, that should have been the level I was really looking for. C'est la vie, you live, you learn, and the markets sometimes send you home without supper, or send you to bed without supper. So interesting look, really just looking at the SPY and some of these NQ names for short opportunities here. How goes the Microsoft?
Good, good. We're
Nice.
Yeah, I think, there's definitely a seller at 50. And so every time it makes its way up to 50, the ask is not crossing, or the ask cross, by a couple of pennies. The bid isn't crossing, though. So careful, there is definitely a seller at 50. Again, I'm in the sim, so I'm not seeing the full book here with all the gateways. So, hard for me to really be able to see, there's size at this level and be confident in that because I don't see the full picture. But definitely sellers at 429.5. That's continuing to keep the stock a little bit low. Guys, I'm not in CGC, nor am I in Apple. I'm not sure why the position board is showing that, but I'll just update you. My only position is Microsoft, and I'm in the sim. The other trade here that I've set up a dip trade for is ASTS. Unreal. This name today, almost 50% in the clear, printing days highs as we speak. 790 is the day high, and this thing has done almost 50 million shares of volume on the day, 48.7, $2 billion market cap. Look, it's had a love affair here with the 10 period on the 5, and that's where I've set up my trade. So you can see it hasn't even touched the 20 since 9:35, and the only reason it broke through the 20 on 9:35 is because we had the open right there. So you get all the market on open orders, and it zigzags a little bit down, a little bit up. But since the market got its foot under it, it hasn't touched the 20 period. In fact, all the closing prints have been north of that 10 period. So I've set up my trade to touch the 10 period right there. I'll have to move this up because the 10 period is dynamic and it's moving up as the price action rises up. I want to see, excuse me, what it does at that whole dollar level. And whether it's able to break it. And the reason is I care so much about that whole dollar level is because when it had trouble with 7, look what it did when it broke 7. It did a huge topping tail candle, which looked awfully bearish. Once it broke 7, it got all the way to 750, reversed quickly to close at 704. And then you had a couple of, 5-minute candles here of indecision where you didn't know whether it was going to clear or reject 7. And then it clears it. And then look what it does. It starts using 7 as support. So if that's the case, if you clear like the whole dollar level and you start using it as a good area of support, we'll see if it does that with 8. At least I'm ready for it if it does. So let's watch what it does with $8 if it's able to make its way up there. My order looks like it's going to go unfilled here because I've got it at 65s and the 10 period's already at 69s here as it moves up with the price action. So ASTS doesn't have a break on this vehicle today. It's all gas, no brakes, baby, with this name. So we'll keep an eye on said name. Let's go back and have a look at the Softy to see if we were able to get that print. No. So we're still having a bit of a wall of selling at the $0.5, 429.5 on MSFT. It looks as if there's an iceberg there, but again, I can't see the full book, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's a nice look on Microsoft. Congrats there in that little beak wetter on that one. Tesla did give me my little short. So I was like, Adara, if you like this, start to build a position, get a couple shares here, 175.25, because you still like that area, and then be prepared to add up into 175.50. And Tesla was like, yeah, I'll give you 175.25 and I'll give you nothing else. And I was like, cool, Tesla, I can take that heat. And then we go to the downside. I get out at 175. I am happy that I'm able to get all the smoke on that. I got out where I did, and I actually did wait to see that test of 175. We initially got to 175, and then we bounced, and I was like, okay, Dara, you want 175. You're not going to panic sell. We don't do that around here as much as I used to. And I just got out at 175. I was like, okay, Tesla, please just punch. I'm still looking at the SPY. And I don't know what direction I want to play it yet, which is why I have been a conscientious. I was going to say, not conscientiously ejecting, I'm just waiting. But if we bounce off VWAP, I'll go long here, at least into 50s. If we go lower, then I still think that there's some kind of short here, or you just have less of a read. But I do like the opportunity for a bounce play. It's at VWAP, but even better, look where we had the little chop and turn earlier. That's right, the same area, Confluence. So I love that. We love Confluence in this house. I want to shout out Obi again for killing it yesterday. But yeah, we're very happy to have Sharif back here on the show. Also, Q's coming into support here too, which I think kind of bolsters my SPY look a little bit. If we're, I don't know, have a funny day for me to be trading futures on Futures Week, but you know what, why not? And we bounce, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Futures are like, stop talking to me about me, Adara, just get in. So yeah, okay, I see you, SPY. I will get involved. If we break below here into this like, if we break decisively below 526.20s into that 526.17 area, that's where I'm gonna have to get out. And I do want minimum 526.50s, optimally 526.60s, and SPY's like, as you're, oh, we bounced. This was a nice little bounce here. So let's keep bouncing that bounce on the SPY. What else are people looking at here? ASTS apparently break in here. Yeah, 1320 Wolf, you're right. There is a little bit less sometimes price action during the midday, but I think that's why it's fun that we're doing how to trade during this hour, kind of, or 3 hours, time for you to have fun, play around in a market. At least I find for myself, learning to trade gives you a little bit different price action there.
Yeah, ASTS, nice breakthrough 8 there, but comes right back down, makes its way to 810. We just finished talking about that, but in a futures context, we talked about false breaks. So I'm looking to take a defend off that 780. I've got a dip trade set at 782. We have a bit of a consolidation top there. I want to see if it holds. It's going to be for small share size with my planned DCA, the exact same area that I had before at 765. Neither one is getting filled now, despite the fact that we put in a bit of a topping tail candle here through that $8 area. We'll see if we get filled at 82s, showing 85s here on the bid. So we'll see what comes of that. Break even on my trade on Softy, but it's still rejecting that 429.5. We haven't had the ask cross. into that $0.50 level since, since maybe over here. It certainly didn't do it over here, so we'll continue to watch that. For my trade on Softy is going to be the break of the low. So if this low breaks, that's the end of the trade on this one. That's no longer valid because it makes a new low. So we'll keep eyes on that. Meta, I was singing Meta's praise earlier as kind of a similar candidate to Microsoft in the sense that it had a nice move up on the open, then came back into VWAP and held VWAP, and it did for a little while. Pop back into 478 and a half, but there you go, broke VWAP quite aggressively, finding support at the 50 period here at 477s, so we'll keep eyes on that. I'm not going to take it randomly off the 50 period because it hasn't featured with the 50 period on the day. Until it does, until it proves it to me, that's just another random wiggly line on my chart until it proves importance. Tesla as well, multiple rejections off yesterday's closing print, 176.75, and it's putting in that rounded top. Look for support at that 174 area. Tesla would be an interesting short here, especially if it's able to break this low end of the range. So you had a couple of holdups here since the bell rang. What's up?
Sorry, just the mic, it's down. I think she just needs to fix the mic or something.
Oh, should I just talk? Oh, okay, like that? Okay. So this area over here on Tesla, 174.85, essentially 175. Look for 175 to break on a closing basis. We broke in the pre, but we really reclaimed 175 and then have been using it as support, but now we're putting incrementally lower highs. You have the highest of the highs, that IB high there at 178.15, then it's followed by another successive lower high at 176.75, and then 176 and 2/3, and then 176 and a quarter. You get where this is going, then 176, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, flat bottom break. So we'll see if that one comes in. Keep your eye on a decided close below 175, and then look for support at 174 because that was the pre-market low. So if there's going to be buying in and around there, definitely want to be covering at that spot. But Microsoft, as I anticipated, absolutely flying to the high side. So we'll wet our beak some more here, and we're almost $1 in the money on this name. It is sim trade. I am in the sim today, but you know we're taking it as seriously as we would a regular trade. Microsoft coming into 430 at day's high.
Wow, that's beautiful. The Bill Gates just opened there for that one. It's a great look. Shout out to, sure, he's doing that dancing like Steve Ballmer at the convention there. Great look. Shout out to you. Also, shout out to the SPY. I took 20 pennies on this name and I'm pleased as punch. Is this like a massive victory? No. But is it something that I'm proud of with how I manage it? Yes. So I said a couple times here, we got to 526.20 and I was like, because that was going to be my area, right? Then we bounced beautifully. I was like, Adara, don't panic sell. You have no reason to panic sell. Breathe. Like, just chill out. And so then the SPY gave me what I wanted. Should I have stayed in? Maybe, but I said, I was very patient. I said, I want 50s. And I waited for 50s. So I can live with that. I got out some. I saved apparently a piece for what? Was this like a 2-penny dream? I don't know. So maybe I could work on saving my pieces for dreams for a bit longer, but I'm not going to cry over like a couple missed opportunities here because I'm super happy with how I managed this trade. I would consider continuing ranging. I should have worded that any other way. I'm looking at this range possibility, but I think the kind of reddish flag for me, or I guess green flag for me, because I'm worried this could flip long, is that we did have a higher low and we had a VWAP bounce. I don't know if this 80s, 70s rejection is going to keep happening, so I want to watch out for this look. Let's look at Lucy again because I just feel like that is kind of the big small cap champ. Every time I hear her say Lucy, I think of that Kendrick song For Sale where he's always saying Lucy. So I mean, shout out to Kendrick Lamar, I guess. But LUCY here, this is interesting. So we come near that previous level of chop and churn, this beautiful resistance level around 114, and we end up having this halt here at 112. Currently the tap right now, guys, is 111. For Lucy, that tap is going to be 111, so we'll have to see what happens when we turn this faucet on for LUCY. But yeah, I think this is an interesting look. We are slightly below the 90 MA. Like I said, though, for me, the big white whale level, the level that Ahab would be looking at, to use a literary analogy, is going to be that $1 level. Not just because it's $1. I love the confluence of this like being a $1 level and having this chop and turn at the 90 MA. Things like this do not happen all the time. So Lucy, I see you, Lucy. Innovative eyewear, I see this one. Let's take a look at this type of trade. So what else is everyone looking at here? Yeah, the SPY kind of rangy still. I want to see what some people are taking a look at. Yeah, I want to shout out Calvert again for the Starbucks, and he was like, oh yeah, it looks like Starbucks kept going down. Oh yeah, Starbucks was like, oh you want to be short and you're getting out. Yeah, I'll bounce up to 77.50s and I'll just progressively sell off. So this Starbucks pretty weak, but I agree with what you had to say about that Tesla short. I still like this Tesla short, and if I honestly, my plan with Tesla today, you know, instead of that what is that Sound of Music song, like climb every mountain, I'm just gonna short every pop on Tesla. That'll be my strategy. How are you doing?
I like it. We're doing well. Literally got bottom wick off that 780 defend, so that goes to show you. I mean, these area tops here on the small cap gappers, for whatever reason, they do act as good areas of support and resistance. So 782 long, we took some out at 810 for a nice winner. I'm in the sim, guys. I'm going to keep saying that over and over. My next beak wetter is sitting at 815. We'll see if we get that. I've canceled my order that was sitting at 765. It's no longer valid. The order at 765 was for a 10-period defend on the 5. But the 10 period is dynamic and not stagnant, so it's no longer there, and therefore my dip trade at 765 no longer makes any sense. That's why I moved it up to 782 to defend the price action. Previous area of resistance, now support that 780 area, and I've got my next beak wetter, as I said, at 815. ASTS, I gave you guys the deets on this earlier. I'll give it to you again. 53 million shares done on the day. It's up 51.5%. It is not a small cap gapper. It is a $2 billion market cap. Space Mobile engaged in building a global cellular broadband network in space to operate directly with standard unmodified mobile devices based on its intellect. So it looks like they want to make maybe internet, a space internet that works off existing cellular networks. That's what just a cursory read of that denotes. Obviously, competing with the likes of SpaceX, or not SpaceX, excuse me. What is that thing called? Starlink. Anyway, the float on this, I should tell you, is 120 million shares. And let's pull up trade ideas in here, see if we can get the short float, ASTS. So the short float's quite large, and that's probably why it's moving in this way. 27.05% of the 125 million shares, it says 125 million here, 120 on mine, is short. So over a quarter of the float on ASTS is short. So this one could absolutely become parabolic. Keep your eye on it. And we've been getting a lot more of these lately ever since GameStop and AMC started running again. Everyone's looking for these high floated names. They're hunting for them, looking to see if you can get squeeze plays out of them ever since that whole Roaring Kitty thing came back into play. Ron Wild, 199 super chat. Thank you very much. BNED, the creators of GME, going to squeeze like GME. Let's have a look at BNED. I think this one showed up on my scanner earlier. Let's have a look here. Yeah, and this one is a former runner, as I've already put the ticker on there for it. You can see it really started running in the middle part of the month. It had its best day, best green day on the 21st, gave back a lot of that on the 22nd, very big red day on the 23rd, and we're definitely ensconced with that within that price action currently. Today, very zigzaggy. As you can see, a candle of indecision. We haven't closed on the day, but the low is right there at 57 penny and the high at 87 and change. So a big range day for BNED. The name is as follows: $36 million market cap, 5.5 million shares done on the day, 39-ish million share float. It's not really breaking out through yesterday's highs, so you can see there in the later part of the day, we definitely had a resistance at 73. We haven't quite made it up to 73. We're at 70 right now on BNED. I'll be looking for a 73 break or reject. That's kind of the look for me on that name. So I'll put an alert. See if we can put an alert around 72.5 pennies. If it makes its way up there, then we can take a decision at that point. But yeah, good luck, BNED. Definitely a couple of great days this month for, but today, Ron, it's quite rangy. Look for that 73 touch though, Ron. That could spell a short. I don't know if you're a long or short this name, but yeah, there's definitely a trade to be had, possibly at 73.
That's a great look there, that 73 level in BNED. Yeah, so I was joking about singing like climb every mountain, short every pop on Tesla. Yeah, we shorted the pop. I don't have any big poetic things to say about it. Just happy with how I've been trading this name. And this is just kind of the trading I need to be doing, getting involved with enough shares that I can live with, just getting out at the bottom of the pop, getting back up when it pops again, rinse, repeat. We're kind of forming, I don't want to say a base, but we're doing something at 175. So I'll be cautious, but I just want to put that out there. If you're looking at the Cybertruck has been giving you a nice little chop and turn to the downside. Also, Chewy. Someone was asking, can we please talk about Chewy? And I mean, I don't know why I always think it's in the NQ. It is not. It's in NY. But yeah, Chewy, I mean, talk about a great earnings report. Definitely lots to chew on there. In that earnings report, you can chew on their $500 million, up to $500 million share buyback program. You can chew on their earnings beat. It was a great look. But you know what's becoming really interesting here? Is the support resistance flip at 2142. I don't know why I paused so long there. Apparently I was very caught up in this chart. Look at that bounce on the 90 MA. We kind of get we do get to 2185, and then we form a bit of a top here. Try to get to 22.2 is like, no. And it goes to the downside. And then look where we're finding a little bit of a struggle. That's right, 2140s. I like this level. I think if we reject off the 90 MA here, it could be an interesting look. And as I say that, Chewy decisively marches to the upside. It wants to bite the head off of that 22 level. It wants to continue to go higher here. So that's a really great look here on CHWY. Let's take a look at some of its earnings friends from this morning, including Abercrombie and Fitch. I take you if you have one, which, but it's been gone since the summer. Shout out to Light Funky Ones. I've had that song on my head all day, thanks to ANF. And I mean, wow. We're kind of, this is much like Chewy. I think we might be going for a directional change, but I don't know if it is yet. I say this for a couple of reasons. For one, we have a bit of a flat top here at that 182.25s, but we have higher lows. So this could be a flat top breakup, or, and more interestingly to me as a fairly short biased human, this could be a little bit of a roundy top, and we flop and we drop to the downside. So I'm going to put ANF on my side chart. I think it could go either way. The SPY back at VWAP, so that is something I'm going to be spying here. What else is going on? DKS is going to be Dick's Sporting Goods. So let's see. This honestly is, I think, kind of what I was saying with ANF, where it does have that kind of flattish top approach. It looks like DKS has decided it would like to go to the downside. So this, what level is this? 227.60, very specific times. If we keep rejecting off the 90 MA, this could be the short for me. I don't know if I have room for both DKS and ANF on my side chart. Do I want two earnings plays there? Sure, why not? I'm going to put those both up there. Starbucks coming back up into 77.30s. That could be interesting as well. I have my eye on quite a few things here, so we're going to figure out what we're really looking at. And how goes the ASTS?
It's okay. We have one out left, and now it's coming down below 8. So if it breaks, it comes into and breaks 780. That'll be the end of it. I just had somebody ask how I'm short Apple at 190.69. I'm not short Apple, and I'm not long CGC. The position board is wrong. The only position that I'm in is ASTS long at 782. So just wanted to make that clear, and I'm in the sim today. So we'll watch to see if ASTS will break. We already took out 4/5 of the position, 1/5 left. We'll see if it can make its way back above 8. And fill me here. I'm waiting at 8.15 for a while on ASTS, and I'm not inclined to get out of this position whatsoever. And the reason is, not because I'm stubborn or anything, well, maybe I am, but that's not really the reason why I'm not getting out of it, is because it hasn't broken the 10 period. But it's now time to look at BNED, because it came into that level that we talked about. So let's load up BNED over here. Here it is. Let's load it up, change Liato, BNED. It is coming into that level, so it looks as if it trades on the New York. There it is. And that 73 pennies that you were talking about earlier, I forget who it was that sent the super chat there, but here it is. So this is the level we were talking about from yesterday. If we reject here, then I'll be looking to get short. So I'm going to put this on the side chart here, BNED, so we can get live updates on it. BNED. There we go. Barnes and Noble. At 73 pennies, high of day. It's stuck there at the moment. It's not halted, but it is SSR. Okay, so BNED is SSR. If you're looking to short it, I'm not. I wouldn't mind shorting it here if it does reject 73 pennies. So we'll have to watch and see whether this one does reject or whether it breaks through. If it breaks 73 pennies and holds onto it, then definitely I will be looking for the long. Let's look at what it's doing in the actual price action over here. So this one just dipped aggressively for whatever reason. I just saw prints coming here, and they're not dark pool prints. They were on T, and they dipped aggressively into 69. I got that on my platform as well. It just dipped into 68 1/3 off 73 pennies. So there's a lot of bamboozlement happening here, and I'm not surprised because it is exactly the level that we came into yesterday, 73 pennies, and rejected. And yet again, we come into that level, and yet again, we dip down into 68.5 here. But it's not the end of the story. We could break 73. Just because we reject it off at once doesn't mean anything. So let's keep an eye on this name. It's already up 14% to the good. Shorting it at these levels would definitely be a counter trend trade, and that's not really my modus operandi. So let's keep, here's 73 again. And again, I'm in the sim, guys, so I can't see the full size on that level, but I can get a general idea of whether there's big size or not, and there is at 73. A lot of wattage at there. Let's see if it can break above it. 15% to the good today, and it's chopping and churning, and you haven't even gotten one print above 73 pennies quite yet. So keep your eye on that level.
Oh yeah, that's consolidated. Also, I like a lot of wattage. I like that. But AMD here, Brad Gober's mentioning AMD. This one looks kind of bearish. I will say, shout out to, I think Cal Burdett was saying he shorted this one off, I think near that 167 level. This was quite the look. But now we're kind of, I don't want to say this is a higher low situation, but we didn't get all the way back to VWAP. We did have a slightly higher low, I think, at the 166.50. What I'm trying to say here is I think right now AMD could go in either AM direction. I think it needs to figure that out right now. I don't know if we're going to make this higher high back into 167. Right now, it looks like we're struggling with 166.30s. And of course, as I say that, AMD's like, I'm going to go higher. So I'll try not to speak on your name, AMD. You do what you need to do. But I think this could be interesting. I think this could maybe compress a little bit. Like I'm trying to say that I don't really have a clear read on this. And I think AMD needs to kind of sort itself out. It's very much down on the day. I think if we keep rejecting that 167, but staying above VWAP, we might see a skosh of consolidation. That would be my take. Also, Lulu. I've seen a couple people mention Lulu today, including Compass RX right here. And Lululemon reports earnings next week. I am very excited for this earnings report. It's not like I'm involved in the name. I just, I think Lulu is a really interesting one. I know they just have a new one opening at the Well, which is this new kind of outdoorish mall situation in Toronto. I say outdoors because it's not fully outdoor. But so new location. They're also Lululemon on a broader scale. They did have their chief product officer resigning and they're not replacing the role. So that could be actually kind of interesting. Lulu, this is a great look that we had a higher low here coming right at 1040. Since then, nice upside continuing to bounce off the 9 EMA. I do like this look for Lulu. She's sprinting to the upside. Lululemon Athletica, that's a great look. Right now, the SPY made some profit on 2/3 of my position, ended up paper handing out of the rest of it because I was like, hey, we're getting near my area. Got out, and then of course SPY pops right back up again. It's all good. I need to get more used to random little crazy wicks, so I'm going to trade an ETF with the futures.
All right, guys. Here we are. BNED broke 73 pennies on, I believe, a closing basis. Let's have a look. No, okay, I'm incorrect on that. So just wicked up. 73.60 HOD at the moment. So we're definitely still dancing with 73. You'll notice that the bid hasn't printed 73s. We've been stuck on 72.5. So the ask has crossed. And look, I'm putting a bid at 0.75 to go long. So if this breaks and holds above 0.73 and comes into that $0.75, I put in a 2 penny spread as well. So I'm giving it to 77 pennies in case it gets parabolic here. BNED, look, it's not a name that I would really, be banking on everything today. It does have a headline from today. Barnes & Noble, college research reveals students' evolving attitudes towards collegiate retail. I don't even know what that, why is that even important? Okay, so it's from 3 different news agencies, Reuters and Dow Jones News. Okay, whatever. I haven't had an opportunity to read the full article, so I guess I just won't judge it. But anyway, I'm looking for a 75 break, and then I'll actually go long on this name. Let's have a look here at ASTS, because it came right into my entry, but I didn't get filled, so it did break that 15s, and here we are. We're at 12s, we're long 82s. We can flatten out here for more. It's 52.5% to the upside today on ASTS. Heavily shorted name. Over 27% of the float is short. Be careful if you're going to short this one. You could be on the wrong end of it. 782. Took this long, 782, because it was a top area consolidation. We cleared it, and so then I used it as support. This one apparently made its way up to 20, but I had my order at 15. I'm in the sim, so whether or not I get filled or not, these aren't real fills anyway, so let's not judge this too quickly. Here we go, 14 showing up. 15s now on the ask. Can it print above? It seems to be some selling here on 15, because every time we make it up to 15, we're met with a wall of selling. So there is size at 15, but I would submit to you that there's likely an iceberg there as well. Just not enough size to keep it, and there it goes. So breaks through 15s, and here's 20, ASTS, HOD, now almost the #1 name on my chart, obviously second to Lucy, but Lucy's been its own beast at the day. 820 HOD on ASTS. Let's do some charting on the day and see where we could encounter resistance on this name. Let's go to the 4-hour. Like I said, this one's really been running the past little while. Let's go to the daily. Oh, that was BNED, excuse me. All right, so ASTS, we haven't been at these levels since November of 2022. So it's been over a year and a half since we've been at these levels. There was an obvious area top here at $7, and that $7 top had been in place since early 2023. We hadn't been able to close above $7 on a closing basis. We couldn't even get above $7. Forget about a closing basis. It was hard enough just to break 7. Now we're at 820 HOD. So the next area of resistance that we have is going to go to this area crest over here, back from, believe it or not, June 2022, when it rejected off the 200 at the time. That takes us up to about 8 3/4. So about 55 pennies from where we are. Above that level, we're really going to have to look at this level over here. It's going to be about $11, but we'll talk about that when we get there. First, we got to break above that 8 3/4. That is a June of 2022 high, awfully high at that time, but hey, who cares? This one is doing really well today, Dare.
Yeah, AST Space Mobile going up into space. I've also noticed there's kind of been a trend lately of a lot of these small cap runners that are having multi-day stays in small cap gap land. You've got Lucy, you've got ASTS, which was one that was running last week as well. Barnes & Noble, of course, like Microcloud Hologram, which tries to poke its little head up every couple weeks. Like, it's really interesting. I think there's been a little bit of a change of the tides, to use a Sharifism, into these small cap runners that are moving a little bit more frequently. Also, there was Lucy. Elon in the chat had this message I appreciated. Lucy, Lulu, who's next? Because all these stocks with names that are running here. And this Lucy is interesting. I said I'd be kind of interested to see what we did after we opened up, given that we kind of fell a little bit below that previous resistance of that 114 level. Continuing to top and churn around that 9 EMA. I still like the $1 level. I don't know if I get involved. This is, and I don't mean like because it's a small cap. I have traded small caps, so there's setups I like. I would need there to be a setup I like, but that 70-cent area of resistance on Lucy, not today, but actually this was actually still kind of interesting today, the resistance support. The 70-cent level on Lucy, I know we're talking about going back to Friday, and I was pretty happy I was able to call that. I do like this $1 level on Lucy. I don't know why I feel like I'm sort of in tune with how I'm reading this stock, but it is a penny, or it's not a penny stock. It's a smaller stock, so I want to wait because of the volatile moves to have a setup I really like, at which case I might enjoy it. SMCI, one I've not thought about in many moons, getting mentioned here by 1320 Wolf. So let's take a look at SMCI. It's kind of, I think like saying asleep is not a bad way to describe this. We're really trying to break above VWAP here, a couple wicks up in here that we're not able to fulfill. Worth noting, the spread on this right now, 75 pennies to $1.25. So pretty decent spread on SMCI. Also, I just looked at my side chart and I was like, Apple, what are you up to? This Apple short could be spicy. I don't necessarily want to get short because I tried it in the TQs, and this was bad all around. I had a fat finger moment, and then I got back in. I was happy with how I managed it, but it was just pretty messy. So I don't want to rush myself into shorts. I think that we could be seeing a little bit of a change in sentiment for some of these mega cap names. That being said, if Apple keeps rejecting VWAP the way that it has been, this could be an interesting look. We do have a lower high or lower low, but we also do have that massive green candle and a bit of a bullish wick here. So let's see indeed what we see in AAPL. I wish I was saying something that had another E rhyme, but it is what it is. How are you doing?
Good. Chris wants me to have a look at SOUN. So not much happened with SoundCloud today, but SOUN down 1.89. We know that it has a bit of a headline with NVIDIA that goes back months and months and months. NVIDIA has taken an interest in this company, like a financial interest, and that's what really caused it to really pump up here. On the day, there is no headline. Yesterday, there is no headline for it. So I guess, Chris, you're a long-term holder of this name. Today on the day, though, it's definitely having a dalliance with a 200 here on the 5. The IB high rejects off that 200, and here we are again, right at that 200. The 200 is the solid blue line on my chart, not able to break above that. The closing print from yesterday on SOUN is 491. Hence why we're down on the day. So if we make it back up into 490 or 491, I'd be looking for an area of resistance at that area. Otherwise, I really wouldn't trade Sound. It's not doing anything in terms of above average volume. There's no catalyst, so I'd steer clear of it. But here's the look at the daily if you're interested in that. To kind of make this point, the NVIDIA point here, and you can see, you know, for months and months and months, it's a dollar stock. It had its moment in the sun last year in June when everything was running up when you put AI in the news headline. That subsided, that faded off, and we stayed almost a year of no action. Then NVIDIA comes earlier this year and announces that they're taking a stake in the company, and you see what it's done since that time, right? So it gets off that $1.50, $2 area, makes its way up to $10.50, and now we're kind of halfway in between there, a little bit below 5, a little bit above 5. That is the kind of the story behind SoundHound. Now, it's a $1.5 billion company, so it's not a small cap gapper. And the float is large. It's almost 300 million shares, 292 million to be exact. And I'll tell you the short float on it, because I remember this one had an outsized short float, and it still does, at least as of 2 weeks ago, 24% of the almost 300 million share float is short. So this one could absolutely go if it gets something under it. But again, you got to have eyes on it. You got to have a catalyst for that squeeze to manifest, and today I would submit to you not that day. So SOUN, interesting. But there was another request here by Zai. He wants me to have a look at Roku, so I will oblige. Let's have a look at ROKU. No headline here, Roku. I see a Disney thing. Is there any Roku in that? In December, Allison Levin left Roku's. No, this has nothing to do with Roku, just one of their executives. So Roku on the day. What's the look here? Give me a second, because it doesn't update for whatever reason. ROKU. So Roku down 0.09%, essentially flat. It is at yesterday's closing print. That is $56.46. We're at $56.40 right now. So essentially flat on the day. I would be looking for a possible rejection off here, because that is the closing print from yesterday. Now let's have a look a little bit more. Let's zoom out. Let's go to the hourly. And so it's been a downtrend ever since that earnings report that beat for whatever reason. I'm not a believer in this company. It got all the way to 66.5 bucks, but as you see, it's been sort of a sell the news event, and now we actually made a lower low, 55 bucks, a low on the day, than we had for quite some time. So we haven't been at 55 bucks at least since April. I can go back and look a little bit more. A bit of a downtrend, to tell you the truth, Azai, since that earnings report, lower lows, lower highs. Yeah, again, you know, trying to keep my personal idiosyncrasies out of the analysis, but I just kind of don't believe in this company, and I'm not really surprised by the price action.
Yeah, Roku isn't. My parents have a Roku, and it's a TV. I don't have much to say about Roku. It's a TV. It doesn't do that much. I think they have some of their own channels. I don't know. Let me tell you, if there's like any of those random free streaming apps they start a stock, if it's like a Tubi TV stock, I'd get involved in that. But yeah, Roku itself. Also, Gaurav here mentioning Nike. So I mean, we'll pull up Nike. Yeah, I think you were mentioning a swing play on this. So Nike right now for me, we had that really great run up here, bouncing off the 90 MA. Then we have what I think is a pretty nice, not nice, it's a clear, to me, topping tail candle coming into that 92.70s. Then we have a lower high. Did have that, still have that 90 MA bounce, mind you, but now we're having lower highs, lower lows. So NKE right now in the daily chart looking like it has having a little bit of a run to the downside. Also, so yeah, on like a daily basis, I think there is a clear base here at that 88 area. Look at, ooh, I got excited. Bottom, is this a double bottom I see on the daily chart? late September 2023, coming into early April 2024. We're seeing this bottom twice. Now, since that double bottom, Nike has done not very much. We did get to the 96 level. We had a little bit of a rejection off that previous resistance area, and then just kind of seeing this consolidation since then. So yeah, I gotta tell you, Gaurav, I think breaking above that 96 would probably be pretty interesting to me. Right now, it just seems like we're having a little bit of a consolidation with no clear direction in which we're gonna resolve. I think that bounce off the 88 is nice, but it'd be nicer if it kind of did something to really follow up. Let's take a look at Dell as well. I think you mentioned this one earlier as well, Gaurav, and I know Dell will be really interesting heading into the earnings tomorrow. Dell has decided it has no chill heading up to these earnings. It's like, I will be, oh, this VWAP bounce. Dell's like, I will be on everyone's minds. I mean, right now, Dell, you're on my mind. Look at this range, 168.50, whoop, 170, whoop. I like this look. Gives you at least $1.50, if not $2. I think this is a really fun look. I think the thing is, too, to be cognizant of is we do have this kind of bear flaggish look on with bouncing off VWAP. So thank you, Gaurav, for pointing this out. Should have looked at this one earlier. But yeah, Dell, really interesting heading into earnings. Let's see how the computers end up going on Dell. That was a pun that might have worked in my head and didn't. Amazon too, I know Joanna Brewster mentioning this, some other people mentioning AMZN as well. I think B. Davis maybe mentioning Amazon or someone else mentioning it here. But this could be, yeah, it was B. Davis. This is an interesting look here in Amazon. We're getting your VWAP, but also look where we had that previous chop and churn. That's right, 182.85. I think what we do here beyond, I would say confluence with VWAP and this earlier little chop and churn, this could be an interesting area here for AMZN. Let's see what kind of express delivery Amazon gives. Will it be for the longs or will it be for the shorts? Only time will tell.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? ASTS here. Ooh. Wow. So this was a mistake to get out of this one because it is just rocketing up there. Here comes a $0.50. And look, I'm looking to get back in. I'm looking for a top area consolidation, dip long, exactly the same way that I did at 782 when we took that 780 flat top defend. There is, in my estimation here, a bit of a flat top at 810. We got into 810 3 times before breaking it. So if we do retrace, I'd like a dip trade. It also, it's also basically the same area as the 10 EMA on the 5, but the 10 EMA is dynamic. It could be there now and be somewhere else in a few minutes. So ASTS, this thing is really rocketing up now, 56% to the good. So we'll keep eyes on that. The other thing that I want to mention super quick there in, actually, I'll mention it when I get back. But the other one that I want to mention, META. So this is doing something here that's awfully, you know, attention catching. Let's call it that, because I'm unsure what to make of it. Look at these rounded bottoming tails. So we put lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low. But the shape of the candlestick, and this is the 5-minute chart. This is not a 1 minute. So this is, you know, almost half an hour of price action that it's been doing this. This to me is awfully suspicious. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what to make. You know, usually these bottoming tail candles into an area of support, you kind of make the assessment that the buyers are, you know, telling sellers, no, that's enough, and usually start curling back up. But I need more candles on the other side of this making higher lows. We had a whole bunch making lower lows. So lower low, another one, another one, another one, another one, until the middle candle over here right at 12 o'clock. And then that 12:05 candle, we make that higher low. But that's only one candle. So let's see if we can make another candle to curl back up here and see exactly what Meta's up to. But very interesting price action where you have these very clear candles of indecision, up and down, and the body of the candle kind of closes in the middle. We'll talk about that and much more when we do get back from Neil, because he's ready with his lesson of the day.
Welcome. You got lesson of the day today, and it's going to be about the trend. Like, what is the trend? When does it start? What should we consider when trying to analyze the trend as a day trader? And what brought me to this today is what you saw happen in some of the chips. It would be really easy to look at some of these charts and say, hey, everything tanked at the open, and we're in downward trends. And that's what it felt like early on. But there was a point at which clearly things had turned, and whether you jumped the right way or not, it was strong movement back into the upside. And I think the important lesson would be, when observing an intraday trend, sometimes the fog is where the biggest volume comes in right at the open. The pre-market can be a little bit deceiving as well. That's on light volume, but even that open can be a little bit deceiving. Now, here's what I mean by that. If you look at the last couple of days on NVIDIA, one very, very simple and the other one not so much. Yesterday, it's trending upside into the pre-market, gapping up, and then right at the open, into the open, it's already moving higher. So you have a stock gapped up, trending up, at the open, goes straight up, higher lows. Like, that's so simple. I don't have to tell anybody that's an upward trend. We can all see it. We all understand what that looks like. But today, I would wager was a bit of an upward trend as well. But look what happens. In the pre-market, and this is 8 o'clock on light volume, you're going down, the market's down. You break at about 9 o'clock lower. By the time we get to the open, you're already testing key levels. 10:30, big volume candle to the downside. At about 9:45, it makes a heavy bottom. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that you can never short something or jump into it after that opening range. But what you want to respect here is what actually happens when things subside. When you get that first move in the first half an hour, move down, retest pre-market lows, what happens after that? Does it retest the bottom? No. It makes a higher low. After that higher low, it breaks it out. It's not an exact science when you can start to consider this is no longer a downward trend that you had all pre-market. I would argue that when this makes this consolidation and breaks a higher low, you've broken the trend at that point. There's your opening 10 o'clock range. There's where it tried to pull back off a price support level. At that point, you don't want to be fighting it. And the example of AMD here, one that I was in, again, I don't have an issue with it's trending down, you've gapped down, you're trending down, lower high at the open, breaks a double bottom to the downside. But then look what happens at the end of the first hour. You get a wick bottom, higher low, and then right here it breaks out one level, and then that double bottom 165, it breaks it out again. Then what right in here, it's easier to say you're now in an upward trend. Yes, it's still lower highs, technically speaking, but sometimes you've got to be able to pivot, whether or not you go long into a reverse or just simply say, I'm not fighting it at these levels anymore because it's shown me a wipeout wick bottom and then several higher lows after that, including getting through the opening range double bottom at 165. You can see a very clean upward trend since then in advanced micro devices. It's not always going to be simple or clean or clear or anything along those lines. But I think at times, you don't want to throw out what happens in that first 5-10 minutes of volume. But if it's really extreme, have a look at the reversal and ask yourself what's been going on since then and how should I be treating it. A good example of that here, like I showed you a bad one on AMD because I think we fought it 1 or 2 times too much, but I'll give you an example of a good one here on Tesla. Almost nothing was stronger right off the bat at the open. Tesla broke out, whether you call it 174.5 at the open or 175 clean. Just super clean off the bottom, right into yesterday's highs. But once that candle was done, this is 9:36. You're within the first couple of minutes in the market open. When it's testing resistance, it falls back in, lower high. So who cares if it broke out? It immediately tests resistance. You're 10 minutes into the market, and it's putting in a breakdown, lower high, trend down stock. So it's a strong breakout trade. Nothing wrong with observing that. But after that, it's just a short trending stock. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit longer to resolve, but if you're day trading and you're going to be in and out trading multiple directions, then you've got to be able to see these swings. Every now and then, it gets clear that you're still in an upward trend that's going to last and doesn't break until later. Apple's a good example of this. Just like Tesla, remember we showed Tesla breaking out, getting to resistance and pulling back. Apple in this particular case, clean breakout off of the open, takes out 190, gets in that first 5 or 6 minutes. This is where Tesla broke lower and put in lower highs. It bounces, holds, and then breaks back out. So in here, it's still upward trending. I don't think you want to fight it. I said I'd wait for 193. It pulls back in a breakout and then breaks higher. Now is where there could be a decision about whether it's breaking that trend to the upside. I would argue some people like to put in trend lines after an opening range. You could throw that in there and say when it broke this trend, it's still underneath it, consolidating underneath. You've got some resistance. So in the short term, maybe it's broken the trend here all the way at 11 o'clock. That's the kind of analysis sometimes we have to be able to do, and it's not about always flipping direction. It's sometimes just about preserving capital and not overreacting to that initial move that you see in the market. There are times when you get that immediate confirmation, and maybe you can find a breakout long here or a dip buy long in something like an Apple there. Maybe you can find yourself not fighting Tesla, assuming, hey, this stock is strong, it's gonna bounce off VWAP. But when you see that lower high, start thinking to yourself, okay, there's one, there's two, maybe it's a short here, because that clearly broke that trend. That's the kind of thing that you want to sink yourself into. Learned the lesson because I feel like there was one too many shorts on AMD and then just not enough confidence in the long when it eventually started to go. That's what the bias does to you on a stock like this. So strong to the downside early, but wipe out bottom on volume, higher low, higher low, higher low, breakout. Like that's when I should be all over. I'm stopping out break even, getting back in. I'm scalping it for 50 cents instead of holding it for $1, $1.50 because I'm still in the back of my mind not convinced that we're into a breakout long situation when clearly the trend has reversed. It's easy to anchor yourself to your first data point, and that open is huge volume, it's big moves. It's always going to give you something to anchor to, and you've got to find a way to take a step back, observe the trend after it's calmed down, and try not to be fighting the actual trend since about whether it's 9:40, 9:45, sometimes 10 o'clock. Be sure that you're on the right side of things, or at least stepping away when it's no longer trending the way you like it. That's your lesson of the day. Sometimes you get bamboozled by that open, and you've got to take that step back, observe the trend as it is after the open rush.
Thank you very much, Neil. Eloquent, informative, and awesome as always. Neil Roberts, guys, every day around noon, he drops his lesson of the day, so make sure to be around to catch it. So thank you again for that, Neil. I did get long, again, ASTS, just to update everybody. I'm not short Apple, I'm not long CCG. RAM has tried to remove it, but I'm in the sim today, so it seems like something to do with that. So I'm long again on ASTS at 10s, 8/10s, that is, looking for that defend, and we'll see what we get there. I have my stop on the break of 82s and another dip trade, as you can see over here, to defend the 20 period on the 5, which is around that 7, let's just say 7 3/4, or maybe a little bit above that. But if it doesn't make its way into there, I'll wet my beak on the current position that I'm at right now, initially at 20 and then at 25, and then we'll see what we get there. ASTS has been quite strong, but it is now hanging out at the 10 period for a little bit longer than it has essentially all day. So I'm a little concerned that we could start getting a bit of a deeper retracement as we are looking right now with all that blue coming in there on the tape and possibly coming into the 20. As a result of the, that, with having the idea that we can get a 20 reassessment, I put my dip trade in and around there. So that's the look there. Some other names that we kind of mentioned at the top of the show that's still going, guys. ANF, it's a more expensive name, obviously. Abercrombie and Fitch headed at 183.65. This thing has been uninterrupted to the high side. It closed out yesterday, by way of context, just a little bit below, or sorry, just a little bit above 152. Looks like that 152 and a fifth or thereabouts. Now the high on the day, 183 and 2/3. Yeah, as you can see there, it's been really holding the 10 quite well on the 5. The 10 EMA on the 5-minute chart, save and except for 11:15 and 11:20 when it did dip below, but not deep enough to come into that 20 period moving average. So the 10 really featuring today on ANF. Keep your eyes on that. The other one I already mentioned, ASTS, is doing well. Chewy just printed another day high, 21.98. It's been having trouble with 22 bucks essentially all day. The shallow retracements all coming into the 10. As you can see here, though, the deeper retracement, lo and behold, featuring at the 20. That is kind of something we've been picking up on with trending stocks, that the deeper retracements come into the 20 on the 5. So perhaps have a look out for that 21.98 HOD there.
Yeah, 20. That lot to chew on there with Chewy, that is for sure. I was involved in this Tesla. Basically, I've been kind of just doing Tesla and a little bit of Apple and SPY ranges all day today, and that's kind of just been what I've been doing. I've been trying to focus on less names, just clear up the blotter a little bit, and just focus on trades that I like and levels I like. So Tesla comes into 175.50, and immediately I'm like a little dog. I'm like, whoop! Like my ears are pointed out. I'm so excited. I'm like salivating over this trade, to use a term that Harry will sometimes use. So I like this 175.50 there. I was like, how do I play it? Because I tried to play the short earlier. That didn't work out. I was like, you know what, Adara? Let's see what we do. Wait a couple seconds. Do not immediately punch. I wait. I go long. This was actually a planned scalp. I'm very proud I didn't panic sell. I knew that 70 area would be dicey because that was an area I kind of liked as well. It was near VWAP. I said, take your 20 pennies and leave. So I did. Please just punch with that. If we keep rejecting here off 176, I'm going to be careful, mind you, because it looks like we could be doing a little bit of a compression wedge type situation with these lower highs, higher lows. I think that right now Tesla needs to settle itself out. Also, I think Tesla will be really interesting heading into that June 13th shareholder meeting. Apparently now this is on the watch list. Elon Musk is offering 15 Tesla tours of the factory for people who vote on his share package situation. So Sean says he's down. So yeah, that's a light bulb idea. So yeah, so I think that's really, I think that vote could be really interesting. Then we also have the Delaware judge, Catherine McCormick, coming out here, and she's like, yeah, so actually they told me, I have faith that we're actually going to have like a situation where they will respect the decision. I was like, well, I don't know if you've heard anything there, but we'll have to see. So that's kind of an interesting take there. Also, if you want to have takes on things in this, I worded that poorly. If you want to have a say as to what tickers we look at in the afternoon, there's actually a way to do that. It's a whole brand new spanking thing, and it is called our afternoon segment at the green screen.
Yeah, I don't even know what we call it yet. I guess maybe we can call it the afternoon rundown. Maybe we should have a vote as to what to call it. Anyway, guys, it's the segment when you guys get to have your say whether you want us, not us, the big kahunas that is, whether you want them to cover Tesla, give you the levels on Tesla, whether you want them to cover Lucy, whatever ticker is tickling your fantasy on the day, you go in to the chat, you hit exclamation point, you type in the word join, then you hit space. And then you type in the $sign and then enter the ticker that you want the big kahunas to cover. We cover that every day between 2 and 2:20. It's a segment where you guys are in control. You get to have your say, but you can't vote quite yet, at least not yet. We're trying to open it up so you can vote the entire 3 hours of the midday show, but that's not available yet. So you have to vote between 1 to 150 every day. You got 50 minutes to have your say. So that's the code that you're going to enter in the chat, but don't do it quite yet because we're still not at 150 yet. I'll remind you guys closer to the time. All right, so let's talk about ASTS because another profitable trade. I am in the sim, guys. Okay, but this was the idea to get that 810 dip trade, and that 810 wasn't out of nowhere. It was another consolidation area top in the same way that I took that 782 on this one. I took the 810, excuse me. And there you go, just popped up 30 into 30 pennies, so we were able to take a little bit out there. We'll see if this one can test the high. It did reject just 5 pennies short of that $0.50, $8.45, the high of day on ASTS. Heavily shorted name. It could move. It hasn't really squeezed yet. It's been very, organized in its ascent. It hasn't had any huge one-off candles both ways. So we'll see if we can wet our beak on some more profits as we come back into that 830 area. Again, ASTS continuing to move up to the high side. Good trade on this name. Let's look at some other names. This ticker that I gave you guys this morning that I really haven't analyzed a whole lot, SMMT. Just did a big move, topping till candle into $3. And it does reject 296 technically HOD. But as I mentioned to you guys at the top, look at the rounded bottom that it's putting. So, it's not surprising that it's making a move into 3 because realistically, I was looking for maybe a 3 1/4, 3 1/3 rejection. If we're going to complete that entire rounded bottom, as Michael Noss likes to call it, well, then we got to get back into the area where it broke down. And the breakdown area is 3 1/3. So we'll still about more than 30 pennies, about 40 pennies off that from the high of day, but keep your eye on SMMT. Let me check the short float on this name real quick for you guys. See if this one could move aggressively. SMMT, Summit Therapeutics, very big short float. Again, we're seeing this as a common theme with the small gappers that have been showing up. They seem to be selected for their higher short float. At least that's the pattern that I'm picking up on. 27.5% of the 135 million share float is shorted. So over a quarter of the float is shorted, so keep your eye on that one. This one reported May 1st, so nothing really earnings related to come out of that name. SMMT up nicely on the day, 20% almost, but nice move into that 396 area. We'll see if we can get anything out of this one. ANF continues to print high of day as I speak. Just printed a new high of day, Abercrombie & Finch, 184.25. It's been hugging the 10 period. If you want to trade on this, it's the 10 or the 20, at least in my estimation. It hasn't even given you the 20, though. That's the funny thing. That's how strong this is. And we're midday. We're well an hour and a half into the show. So if there was weakness and a lack of volume, you think it would come in now. But this is very buy program-esque, as, you know, maybe bigger money positioning into this name after some solid earnings now. A couple of times in a row.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ANF is that one does not, it's going off without an Abercrombie & Hitch. Just continuing to the upside. Also, I want to say a very big thank you and shout out to Vantage Point Software. Thank you guys so much. Created by world-renowned trading software pioneer Louis B. Mendelson, Vantage Point forecasts stocks, futures, Forex, and ETFs with remarkable proven accuracy of up to 87.4%. Using artificial intelligence, Vantage Point's patented neural network processes predict changes in market trend directions 1 to 3 days in advance. Scan the QR code to learn more. Thank you so much to Vantage Point. Appreciate them very much over here. Yeah, Vantage Point, great look there. This SPY, I want to shout out Vikyan Novak because he was saying, you know, SPY has been in a range, but it's been a bit choppy. Has it ever? I totally agree. I was playing that range a little bit earlier. Right now, I'm slightly down in this name just because I had this most recent trade, but I'm still happy I took it. We kept projecting off the 60s. I said if we get into that 70s area aggressively, I'll get out. We did, and the second I get out, it's like, I'm still ranging Indira. What are you talking about? I'm like, okay, well, you could have told me that. Right now, though, I think we're trying to flip, at least on the book, maybe not in the chart yet, but on the book, what I'm seeing is a flip from 60s to resistance. Oh, yeah, so 60s now, I think maybe forming a support instead of resistance is what I'm trying to say. And as I say that, trying to pop up higher here. So I feel like my read on the SPY right now of that resistance support flip might be correct. I don't want to force anything on here. Tesla continuing to kind of move to the high side. Don't have a read on this, and let's get to the levels I like. The thing with Tesla, though, that I find kind of interesting is, here you go, Tesla. Look at where we're rejecting. That's right, previous level, 176.40. I love this. I think this is an interesting look, but I also am very cognizant of the fact we could be bouncing here around 176. As 176 has been like that beautiful sweet spot area for Tesla. If there is a thing Tesla can do around 176, stall, move, reject, support, Tesla has done it at some point today. So I think 176 should be working worth note. Yeah, Vic, yeah, Novak, that's the thing with shout out to you. The SPY's been a really interesting little one there. But shout out to you for like making profit. That's awesome. I am down on that name right now. Dell, Grov printing here on Dell. Shout out to you. Great look here. Dell, that Dell range was like, as I mentioned the range, Dell's like, yeah, you should have looked at me earlier because that range is done now. Bye-bye. Dell rationing to the upside, bouncing off the 9 EMA. Is ASTS still in space?
It's good, yeah, we're okay on this one still. 8-10 long, a couple of beak wetters into the 30s. It's having issues with 8 now, to be expected during this time of day. So I've layered my outs from $0.33 into the $0.50. If we get them, stop is in the same place there. All right, let's talk about some large cappers because we kind of, at least I did. I didn't really cover them a whole lot. We were saying something was up with Meta here right before Neil took over for that for the lesson of the day, and it did tank. But this shows you that there's a whole lot of bamboozlement on Meta. Very irregular chart pattern here. I haven't seen this in general, let alone on Meta, in quite some time, if ever. All these really candles of indecision, one after another for almost half an hour. And then we get a hammer candle, bottoming tail, followed by a monster green candle, and then a rejection at VWAP. So this looks awfully scripted here. But let's see if this 477.5, which is where the volume weighted average price is, acts as a local area of resistance because you're getting a rejection off it right now. And you did have some price action support for that rejection. There was this trough over here before we gave way at VWAP in that mid 477 area, as well as these earlier candles that all held a little bit above that price. So we'll see if Meta uses this middle area here between the up portion of the day and the down portion of the day. If we could split it into that and call it that. Right now, Meta kind of in the halfway zone there. Yeah, all good. Apple curling in today's high over here. So that dance between the 50-period moving average and Apple holds up beautifully at that level. Not even a wick below the 50 here on the 5, and right back into we go into that 191 3/4. But I gotta tell you, I feel like while Apple kind of really didn't have a whole lot of volume for maybe almost like a couple of years, where it was Tesla that everybody was trading, and then Nvidia became kind of like the focus. I'm starting to notice some bamboozlement right now on Apple. And look, just yesterday's pre-market action can kind of show that case in point. So yesterday in the pre, we get all this news that Chinese sales are picking back up, this, that, and the other, and then it rockets up into 194.50 in the pre-market, and then something as kind of, I don't know, ineffectual as they're not going to be able to dismiss their case, tanks the whole thing down, right? So to me, this is very trading-esque rather than investing, and that is something we haven't seen on Apple lately. We haven't seen, that bamboozlement. We call it the dead one for a reason, because it was kind of left alone by those aggressive day trading algos. Anyway, maybe back in play. I'm not pontificating. I'm just making a quick observations of what I've seen. 191.75 right now, curling back into a possible 192 touch, 192.25 HOD on AAPL. Let's flip back and see what some of these other ones are doing. ASTS still really hugging the 10-period, as you can see here. Nothing closing below that, so I'm not getting out of my trade. But this one really starting to wake up here. LUCY. You saw Neil involved in this one in the morning, really doing its best to respect the 20 on the 5 over here. The 20 is the solid yellow line. You'll see the wicks do break below the 20, but every single closing print subsequent to 9:30 this morning has closed above the 20 exponential on the 5, and now it is making incrementally higher lows and higher highs, looking for that 1.25 break. LUCY, a sweet 182% in the clear today, Dara.
LUCY, you don't have no alibi, you Lucy. Hey, you Lucy. Yeah, great look for LUCY. Just as I was like, this could be an interesting level to maybe short it at that 115, Lucy's like, yeah, but I mean, I could also just go higher. Also, shout out to a thing that we do that you could start voting on in half an hour. Oh, yeah, okay, that's perfect. I love the happy accident. If you would like to learn what that is, if you want to hear Sharif talk about a ticker, and again, do not vote on this until 1 p.m., you will see Sharif stand in front of a green screen. You'll hear Neil and Sean talk about the ticker of your choice. All you have to do is go !join, space, $, the ticker of your choice in our chat. That is !join, space, $, the ticker of your choice. I will stop sounding like a used card salesman now. We'll hear about some futures trading lesson.
No spaces, though, between the letters, right?
No, it's just like highlighting, like put your letters in there,
Beauty.
yeah.
Okay.
So don't space between the letters, just type the ticker how you would type it if you were gonna trade it there, but add the $sign first.
All right, guys, we're talking about futures all week long, the shortened week. Nonetheless, thanks to Obi and Adair for covering the show or the lesson yesterday. Today, we'll get a bit more nuance. We'll talk about support and resistance trading on said futures contracts. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the different types of futures contracts. So I promise you guys that one is coming up. So this lesson dives into using support and resistance zones for intraday futures trading. We'll definitely will identify, key factors to assess potential breakouts or reversals at these levels. So let's get right to it. As we typically always do, we just define some of the basic terminology so that we can kind of keep everybody up to speed, even the newer traders. So imagine what is support and resistance, essentially. That's kind of what this is explaining. So imagine a tug of war between buyers, which in the market is the demand, and the sellers, which again in the market is the supply. So supply and demand basic economics. So it's a tug of war between buyers and sellers. That's what essentially a support and resistance level is. No one overpowers the other. There seems to be a bit of equilibrium between buyers and sellers at that particular level. So support is a price area where buyers tend to step in and pushing prices back up. Conversely, resistance, as the name denotes, is where sellers become active, halting the price increase and potentially reversing the trend. And you can visualize both of these concepts over here with this chart where you see the price here on the SPY keeps coming, or the SMH, excuse me, keeps coming into that key area of resistance, and every time it does, it seems to be selling off there. But the same seems to be true for that support level. Buyers seem to like it at that level for whatever reason. We don't really need explanations as technical traders. We just need to know that it does it. And so that is essentially what a support and resistance zone will look like: multiple bounces and rejections off those key areas. So how do you identify support and resistance zones? So there are various methods to identify them. The first one is you can definitely chart your prior day high, your prior day low, and your prior day close. I'll always be apprised of all three of those levels on a name that I'm trading. So easiest way to do that, you go onto the wider time frame. If you trade on the 5, go to the 15, whatever it is, just chart those previous day's levels because they're there for a reason. And the horizontal line. So if there is a key area of support or resistance on the chart that has nothing to do with yesterday's price action, chart it anyway. There's likely a reason why that area of support or resistance exists, and you don't need an explanation. You just need to know that it's true. And trend lines as well. I gave this example on Li Auto, on the daily chart on Li Auto, and I want to give it again over here because this daily trend to the downside, it's a downward channel on Li Auto that has been holding up for some time. And you can see that. Every time it seems to come into the lower end of the channel, it bounces up, and comes into the higher channel, bounces down, save and except for this guy over here. That was an earnings report, and you can see it quickly sold off and got right back in to the borders or the lines of the channel there, okay? So make sure to chart those. And here is a nice area of support. You can see every time the price comes into that area, it seems to have buyers step in. So how do you trade at these support and resistance zones? And sorry, I just got to interrupt here for a minute. Even though I am in the sim, I still want to take some profit.
There's something on Tesla too. I'm not really
Go
sure.
for it.
So this story to me does not actually, like, I've been thinking about it. I don't really know if this would move it up. This also came out about half an hour ago, it looks like. But so basically Wall Street Journal here, and I love this image they used, reporting that apparently Donald Trump is considering Elon Musk for a cabinet position should he be elected. Now, the reason I would say I'm not necessarily sure if that's going to be bullish looks, because I know some of the concern people have with Elon Musk and the Tesla situation is that he's got so many other projects going on, right? So not really sure if that's what would move the stock up. Regardless, we do have this big volume pop. This one was circulating. Shout out to Kanye East as well for bringing this up a while ago before we had this pop. So again, not sure what this is, but just letting you guys know that is a story happening right now with Tesla.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right? And I think
I need to know what he's going to take.
I have so many questions.
Oh, yes, I have a lot too.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll keep tabs on that. All right. So for support, so how do you trade at these levels? Okay. So you're looking for a price test. That's one of the ways, right? So a price comes down into your key area of support. You're looking to see if it holds up there so you can buy. A price comes up to that key area of resistance. You're looking for a rejection so you can short. But it's not that simple. So yes, you can look for a price approaching a support zone. If it bounces with strong buying volume, you can get long. But there is the ever-present issue of the false break. So a price dips slightly below support, then quickly recovers. This indicates buying pressure and a potential upside, but you shorted at that point. So that's why you should be really careful to wait for those key areas of support and resistance to break, number one, on a closing basis, and number two, as we'll talk about in a second, look for confirmatory indicators, whether that's other technical indicators or something else that you use. You shouldn't be relying too much on price action only, but look for confirmation. We'll talk about that in a sec. So you could also look for confirmation candlesticks. So there is another confirmatory tool you could use. So for example, if you come into a key area of support, what you're looking for is a reversal pattern. So you know that you were coming down, you're down into the right, and then you come into, say, 165 on Apple. That we know is a key area of support on Apple on the daily. So you could get long at that level willy-nilly and hope that the price steps in and bounces, and whoever was buying at 165 previously continues to buy. Or you could look for something confirmatory. You could look for candlestick patterns down there, like a double bottom, an inverse head and shoulders, a triple bottom. Those are all chart patterns, but you can also look for candlestick patterns. You can look for a bullish engulfing candle. You can look for a bottoming tail hammer candle. Whatever you're looking for confirmation, try to add as many boxes and check marks to your list there for confirmation as you possibly can. And with resistance, it's much the same thing. When there's a price test, similar to support, you observe the price action at resistance. If it gets rejected with strong selling volume, which essentially means more bars on the sell side, a reversal downwards is likely. But failed breakouts here are equally as important as the false breaks for the longs. So in this case, the price pushes slightly above resistance but falls back quickly. This signifies selling pressure and potential downside. And likewise, again, confirmation candlestick patterns, chart patterns, look for them at the resistance zone. So you're looking for a head and shoulders, a double top, a triple top, whatever. You're looking for a reversal pattern of any kind at that level, or a candlestick pattern, a bearish candlestick pattern at resistance to help confirm the downward trend. Some additional considerations you can take into and keep in mind here is the market context. Consider the overall market trend. Is it bullish? Is it bearish? Is it ranging? This can influence the validity of your support and resistance zones and your indicators as well. Combine support and resistance with other technical indicators like we've talked about in the past. Relative strength index is one that's often used. MACD, moving average convergence divergence, can be used for additional confirmation of breakouts or reversals. But these should be complementing your trading. You shouldn't be basing everything upon them. And risk management, can't stress this one enough. Always have a stop loss order in place to limit potential losses if the price breaks against your prediction. And remember, guys, support and resistance zones are areas that are not exact price points. Price can fluctuate within these zones before breaking or reversing, and false breakouts and failed retests are common, especially intraday, okay? Don't chase every price that touches those zones, and backtest your strategy when you can on historical data to understand its effectiveness before risking real money ever again.
And thank you so much, Sherry, for going over that lesson. Yeah, I think support resistance too. It's like if you see that confluence, if you see one thing and then a couple other confirming indicators, that's always great. So shout out to that. Also, shout out to Lucy. I'm still staring at this. I don't know what it is about the stock that makes me want to short it. I don't know what it is. And I haven't shorted it yet. Like, we're not going to go all crazy and just short it because it's up. I have no interest in doing that. But I don't want to say head and shoulders because it's not really head and shoulders, but like, or it's a head and shoulders with like kind of a very large neck mole at this 120 area. But there is something about this 115 level that I find deeply fascinating on Lucy. Now, do I think that $1 area, which is kind of the neckline, is a massive area of support? Oh yeah, I'm very cognizant of that level. But I think if we keep rejecting this 111, 110, I may try to get some shorts on this one and try to take Miss Lucy here, and I say, you know, L-U-C-Y, it's Lucy, to the downside, but let's wait and see how everything shakes out on that. Apple climbing up here. I tried to get a dip buy, tried to take a bite out of this Apple here in that long at 191.56, and Apple was like, too slow. I'm gonna keep going. I was like, okay, Apple, that's okay. So let's see how this goes. But yeah, this Lucy short, I think we might have to get some shorts on that because that's a pretty nice look there. Also, I know you were mentioning Meta earlier. This Meta rejection at VWAP is also kind of tempting to me. I kind of like this look. I say kind of because with Meta, the spread's not even very bad right now. It's not even very spreada. But let's take that. So welcome to Trader TV Live. Bill Harris. I know some people are, thank you very much, Bill Harris, for joining our lovely community. We're so happy to be here. Yeah, some people mentioning Mara. Mara's up right now. Mara's trying to get above VWAP, but generally still, if you do look at that high we've had at 21, can you do something for me? 21 didn't do very much for Mara. Had this high, then continue to have lower highs ever since. How goes this?
It's right back up into a third of a dollar. I've set I got filled at 25s. I'm looking for 33s next, then mid 40s, then just above the $0.50. So it's holding the 10. It's continually holding the 10. I was going to call this a small cap gapper, but then I remembered it wasn't. And why I was going to call it a small cap gapper was to make the point that this one may be around for a good time, but not a long time. So be ready for the bottom to drop off at any time. Now, this one makes the bottom dropping off a little less likely due to its larger float. It's 120 million shares on ASTS. Sometimes we're trading with floats of like 5 million shares. You okay? And or even less than a million. Some of these Chinese small cap gappers, they have less than a million share float. So ASTS, good look, and we'll hold on to this position and see exactly what we get there. Now I'm just looking at some of the side charts here because I love what Adira just said there about Meta failing VWAP. As you can see, it makes a 5-minute candle to break it and then a bigger red candle to make a new low on the 5-minute chart. So let's see if Meta can make another leg down here. I'm less inclined to trade Meta because I feel like I haven't had a good handle on it. Usually I'm looking for something to come into a moving average or a price action support level on the 5-minute, the 10-minute, or whatever time frame, and I really don't feel like I have a good handle on Meta. I felt maybe there was something over here, but it really kind of threw me a curveball once it started doing that. So let's look for something a little bit better, and right now, all the hype is around the Cybertruck because Tesla is trying to hold 177, and there comes $0.25. Now, that was the pop up there on that Elon Musk cabinet news, and we're right back at that high from the candle. We haven't gotten to 178 yet. That is technically the IB high, and the high on the day is 178.15. So let's see if Tesla can continue to go here. It was using 176.75, which is yesterday's closing print, as resistance earlier. And now it just dipped back in after that big move and used it as support. So are the winds of change now coming in on TSLA? Now we know that this one can have outsized days and give it back the entire day. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility for this to go green 5-6%. And then to give back maybe almost all of it tomorrow. So be ready for Tesla to go here. I'm not saying this is the biggest news, and I'm not saying he'd even accept. He's so busy as it is. I don't even know if he'd make if he would want to get in the government. But anyway, TSLA, it's about time, you know, we paid due regard to this name. So let's go ahead and pull it up on a trading screen here, Darren.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla getting a spot on the esteemed side chart. You know what chart kind of looks like Tesla's, which I'm kind of shocked to say? The SPY. By that I mean we have a level, we go down, we consolidate a little bit, have our fun, and then we pop up, and we're trying to make a higher high from there. And I would say that is what Tesla's done. To a lesser extent, that's what the SPY's done here as well. I'm still watching this. I feel like you have to be really fast in the SPY. I don't have that speed unless it's in a range trade, so just watching out here, let's see. But yeah, like I said earlier, my reaction to that Tesla news, I think much like you, don't know if he'd accept, but also I'm kind of stunned I don't know if that's what the stock's swing up, but if that's what the stock's swing up on, I have to say that's kind of shocking because I know one of the bigger concerns that several of these proxy firms have said with regards to Elon Musk, they're like, it's the opposite of too many cooks in the kitchen. He's one cook in too many kitchens. He's like Gordon Ramsay. You like hosting Hell's Kitchen and Kitchen Nightmares and MasterChef. You know what I mean? It's like there's too much going on here. I don't know why with an analogy so hard, but that's I think been kind of a common concern with Elon Musk and all of the many businesses in which he is involved. So that's why I'm kind of surprised the stock got to pop up in that, just knowing that has been a concern. Tesla's not on the Amex and Era. Come on now. But yeah, I think that could be a really interesting catalyst regardless. It's something I cannot wait to read more about for sure, because I think it could be really fascinating. And I really want to know like what the Wall Street Journal kind of was looking at for that. But let's see what happens here. I don't have a read on Tesla right now until we get if we get back to that 177. Some chop and churn here. That could be a play. There's a lot of Apple as well, and I want to shout out Sharif's analysis earlier on Apple with regards to the fact that it is acting like a day trading stock, and it often doesn't, right? Like we had our big move up, we had our big move down. Tesla has been giving you, not Tesla, Apple's been giving you so many opportunities. Just bite, take a look, and get involved. If we break above this 191.80 area that we struggled with a little bit earlier, support, flip to resistance, this could get really spicy here. This become a spiced apple cider over here. How are you doing?
All right. Again, guys, we're in the sim. I just want to make that very clear. I have to write my compliance test, which is why I'm not in live today. But anyway, we took some out here again on ASTS at the third of $1. And now we have 2 more outs on this name, so I'm putting my out near high day. If we can get into the mid 40s, we'll see exactly what we get here on ASTS. I saw somebody in the chat there, Oscarito, hit the offer on ASTS at 820, looking weak. Look at the volume for the breakout. So look, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I get tape reading is very important. But when I see incrementally higher highs and higher lows and no real size on the book to block a certain level or no iceberg, I'm just gonna go there. So I see what you're saying, Oscarito, but we'll see what we get here. Long Tesla as well, taking that defend of the not $0.25, where I get it, at the 1/5 of a dollar, already took some out at the 3rd, looking for a move into 50s. We'll put it a little bit below 50 at 47s, because you know the $0.50 level sometimes acts as that level of resistance. Now Tesla is getting a bit of a midday headline. In case you're just joining us now, looks like Wall Street Journal reporting Donald Trump may be interested in having Elon Musk as part of his cabinet if he is to win this November. I think that we should also have eyes on Donald John Trump, DJT, because, well, there's a criminal trial going on and there could be a jury verdict any minute. So if there is, DJT can move. We're not saying it will, but we should probably be cognizant and ready. It's up 1.8% today at 50.83. But I want to remind you guys that you can now vote, because Bears versus Bulls was kind enough to allow Streamlabs to take the voting all day, not all day, from our show, from 11 to 2. So you can go ahead and get into the chat right now, hit exclamation point, join, space, $, put in the ticker that you want talked about. That's what the big kahunas are going to cover between 2 and 2:20. It's the segment where you have your say every day. Get Neil and Sean to talk about the tickers you want talked about. Go in, get in right now, go into the chat, type in join, space, $, and put in the ticker of your choice. If you want Neil to analyze Lucy, have him analyze Lucy. If you want Sean to analyze NVIDIA and the trades that he had on NVIDIA today, throw NVIDIA in the chat. You have your say, so you can't complain if we don't cover your stock anymore, because you get to have your say every day, guys. Go out and do that now. So we'll continue to watch here on Tesla if we can get into that $0.50 area on this latest news coming out of the Wall Street Journal. I'm still on ASTS waiting for another pop, possibly into the $0.50 here.
Yeah, if you want to see Sharif sit on the green screen and Sean and Neil chat about these tickers, let us know. Put that in the chat. That'd be awesome. Just do that join, exclamation point, join, space, $, your ticker of choice. Also, Lucy. It's like, I think if I stare at it, it will magically, like, make me involved. Yeah, okay, I am going to go try to get my little locates here, because I think that this short looks spicy. I like it. And why am I scared to short it? Because it's a $1 name? Like, is that it, really? Is that it? I'm going to go get that situation sorted out, because I'm obsessed with this. And I think just talking about how I'm obsessed with it means nothing to anyone. Sorry, guys, I know I'm not involved in anything right now. I'm really just trying to find a setup that I like. Shout out to Tesla for Sharif there. You got some coins in that Cybertruck, so shout out to you. Apple continuing to push higher. Yeah, all the ranges I was really digging are kind of not there anymore, so I'm just trying to be cognizant of that. Yeah, this Lucy, that's going to have to be my big whale of the day. ANF continuing to pop higher. AMD I liked as well, but I wasn't able to get in where I wanted to for this short. Initially I wanted 30s. Now we're coming back into 20s, so this actually could be my, let's say, I'll do 23s. Not a huge position here. I just want to take advantage of the fact that we are kind of chopping and churning here. I think if we do resolve, I think we might resolve lower, because we do have that clear resistance at 167, then again at 166.50. If we break above 166.50, bye-bye, bye-bye, AMD. AMD is a name I sometimes struggle to read. I find it does. Someone in the chat once called this a widowmaker, and I actually find that to be a fairly accurate description. So I think this AMD could be really interesting. You know what else is going to be interesting, though? In 7 minutes, we get a bond auction. That's right. 7-year, high yield and bid to cover coming in at 1 p.m. So let's see how the 7-year will go. That was not a pun, that was just happening. Sean James saying, NVIDIA doesn't have to try, it just goes. Yeah, actually, yeah. Talk about a rounded bottom. What a look here. NVIDIA, though, coming into this area that could be spicy for it, 1145. We touched it once. We touched it twice. We touched it OB thrice. We touched it a fourth time. I guess actually, no, it's less 1145 and more like 1147. Let's see what we do here. Will 1147 be a level here for NVIDIA? Will it get elevated at this 1147? I need to stop saying things that rhyme with 1147, but I think this could be a really interesting look here for NVDA. Hood getting mentioned as well here by John H. I know Rivian Millionaire was mentioning this one earlier as well. That's a great pop-up. Still below that earlier 2085 top and churn area, but yeah, share buyback is never a bad look. I remember Sean and I were on the market recap, and then Robin Hood shot that bow and arrow to the upside. So nice look here, trying to pop off that VWAP. I think I will try to pop it into Lucy, and I'm gonna try to find myself some locates. How are you doing?
All right, we're wetting our beak on some profits here on Tesla. It made its way up into the 2/3 of a dollar. Coming back now, though, into the 1/3 of a dollar. We'll look for that 177 defend. Tesla getting a midday headline. Keep your eye on that. ASTS, one more out on this one, okay? ASTS, two more outs, excuse me. So here's the issue. Now it's holding higher lows, but it did reject that 1/3 of a dollar. So I don't want to call it parabolic, but the consistent nature of its higher highs and higher lows being put to the test right now. It's right back at the 1/4 of a dollar. It did dip there into the mid-teens ever so briefly, coming into that 1/3 of a dollar. So we'll see if we're able to continue the ascent here on ASTS, 54.5% to the good. Okay, I did get that beak wetter there on Tesla through the half dollar. So now I'm waiting for that 2/3 of a dollar to come in. Then I'm waiting at 3/4. So good strength for Tesla now, up 0.4. What's the volume doing here on Tesla? So Tesla's the volume leader, a skosh ahead of NVIDIA by about only 800,000 shares. They're both in 34 million land. Tesla at 34.8, NVIDIA at 34. So a lot of volume coming in here for TSLA. Whether or not it continues to the high side, an entirely different story. Simultaneously, I'm looking at AAPL after that rounded bottom off the 20 EMA on the 5. And here we go. We got right into 192, but as expected, that whole dollar does present a bit of a, temporary resistance level. We got above 192 today, but we didn't spend a whole lot of time there. And as you can see, there was a lot of topping tail candles through the break of 192. Slowed down a little bit over here from 10:30 to about 11 o'clock where we kind of stayed above 192, but it was a hard row to break that level, and it still is. We're at 192 right now on AAPL with a 192.25 high on the day. It is putting in that rounded bottom off a key area of support, which is the 20 EMA, especially for trending stocks. I do love that level. Tesla finding resistance here at the half dollar, coming back into a 1/3. I don't think I'm going to let this go against me. I'm in the sim today, guys, because of compliance test issues, but that really doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I always trade as if I'm trading live, and if this comes in to my level and breaks 177, that will be the end of the trade. I still have about 60% of the position left on Tesla, so we'll see if this one is able to ride up that news and make another go at things. What's a Tesla news, Charlie Taff? It looks as if that Donald Trump may be interested in having Elon Musk as in the cabinet. Here's what the headline from Benzinga says: Donald Trump is weighing an advisory role for the Tesla leader in the event the former president reclaims the White House, reports the Wall Street Journal. No details as to what, advisory role that will be. One can only help speculate, but it must be something to do with clean energy or space or one of his areas of competency. You don't think they're going to put him outside something he doesn't know. Dell moving, according to people in the chat here. Darwin, shout out to the OG Darwin. Let's have a look at Dell. Dell's been all the rave lately, not just because it released these new laptops that apparently have SLL, small language, LLMs, SLMs, small language models. So they're going to have locally based language models, which are being colloquially called SLMs instead of LLMs, and these are going to be present on these new Dell laptops that are going to be able to run local language models so that you don't have to worry about privacy issues. In addition to that, it's been running on the data center thing. I mean, we joked about Jensen having the CEO of Dell at the event there and pointing to him, calling him out by name, this, that, and the other. Anyway, Dell at very much local highs here, 170, 177, I believe. No, that's incorrect. Let me just change that, DELL, put that in. 170, 177 is currently where we're trading. 172.60 is the high of day. A bit of a topping tail candle, though, on the 5-minute through that 172 and right back down. I'd be looking here for a 10-period hold, but it looks as if there is a lot of interaction with 171. I mean, earlier at 9:55, you get into that 171 area, you reject, and then you range below it for the majority of the morning, and then comes the less liquid time of day, and all of a sudden you're above it. So now we're talking about using 171 as support and looking for a 172 break. So Dell becoming very much like its partner there, NVIDIA, awfully parabolic or bamboozling, moving dollars at a time here. DELL up 3.5%.
Yeah, you know what also could be moving up soon is these auction numbers. I'm going to watch out for that. But I want to shout out your Tesla trade because that's a great look. Shout out to you. That Cybertruck, yeah, that was you made the decision to go E-long on that. And it definitely, yeah, must be a great day there. So shout out for you for doing that. Was it a cheesy pun? Sure, but that's what I like to do over here. Yeah, I'm still looking at Lucy. We'll Lucy what we Lucy. I just need to deal with that. But I think this Lucy short, I just have a whole thing where I feel like I can't trade when I'm super tired. And I say that because I have no read on things and I just start punching in like wild. So this AMD, case in point, I like the short initially. I think the short was probably still the right idea, but I kind of forgot. I was so busy just staring at Lucy with a fiendish nature that I fully forgot that I had an order ready in AMD. And then I got filled in AMD, panicked. AMD pops up a couple cents and said, Dara, just get out of AMD. You clearly are not in the mental space to be involved in this right now. I get out, and then it drops. I was like, you know what? I had to do what I had to do. I'm not going to, cry over spilt milk, but I have to cry over the lack of conviction because it's like, if my conviction is really just in shorting Lucy, why am I not just doing that? And now AMD goes lower here. Let's take a look at the Qs. There's only 3, not 4. Let's look at these Qs as we get maybe a bit of an auctions reaction here. Bit of a move down here in these here markets. We are getting near that 90 MA. Let's see. I don't know if this level is going to mean anything when we are in a situation where we're waiting for this bond auction. But let's see what we get. Elongated Musk, Chantel. Yeah, I love these Elon Musk puns. Let's see what we get here in this bond auction. Okay, it looks like we do not love that here in these markets. A little bit of a pop down, not a pop, I guess a drop down here. AMD keeps oh, AMD. I'm gonna try not to be salty about that, that's my own fault. But let's see what we get here in these auctions. I'm still waiting for that number. Take a look at ANF in the meantime as we wait for that. Oh yeah, we got the bond number here. 7-year bid to cover, 2.43 versus 2.48, so that's going to be lower than expected. Same with the 7-year high yield, 4.65% versus 4.71% earlier. So that's going to be lower than expected. Thank you, Day Trader Cut, for putting that in the chat as well. We are getting this move down here, but yeah, I'll pull up ANF because someone was looking at this ANF here. ANF continuing to move to the upside, though with that bond auction, did get a little bit of a pull here. 21%. Can you do something for ANF? Right now, it's at that 187 area. It took a little bit of a drop here. I have this on my side chart, but I don't really have any levels to play this off of. I think I need to get maybe my locates on Lucy, and this AMD could still give some opportunities.
Yeah, Tesla coming back into 177 here, so decisions to be made at the whole dollar. If we get into that $0.75, that is going to be the end of the trade here on TSLA. But we always seem to have this reaction to the bond auction. It zigzags a little bit. That's been my observation. Okay, and there we go. So we're done that trade on TSLA as it comes in to the $0.75, and then we'll end that right there. But what I was saying before I got stopped out was you have that move up, then move down, then maybe another couple of zigzags there before it finds the direction that it wants to go. That's been my observation with these auctions as of late. The market did dip down into 18.5. I know we haven't really talked about the future on the day, which is ironic because the lesson is about the futures, but hopefully we'll be a bit more on the ball tomorrow. But there is an obvious double top here for whatever reason. This is an area of resistance on the NQ June contract, and whatever reason, we're heading down here on the auction, helped that level of resistance come into fruition, which is at 18.8 3/4 to maybe 18.880. So that's an obvious double top. Look for a neckline break here. Well, it's not an obvious double top. It's an obvious area of resistance, and that has been factoring in all day today. I mean, I was looking for something really here on the pre-market to look for that level. I looked a little bit yesterday. There was really nothing that intersected exactly with this level over here, but it doesn't always have to be that way. Anyway, the NQ coming off highs, still above VWAP, and still negative on the day. To go positive on the NQ, we got to get all the way up into almost 18.9.5. That is technically the overnight high as well. So the NQ coming back down, precipitating me out of my Tesla long. Also, 192 on Apple, continuing to be that level of resistance. So it did come into 192. And, you know, we said that there would be some issues with the whole dollar. Unsurprisingly, there are. So a couple topping tail candles here. Look for a possible move down. Keep your eye on VWAP at the $0.5. And then ultimately at that 191 and change area, that will be the consolidation area low on the day. So we'll keep eyes on that one. Tesla just did come into break-even point. So we were talking about this area being an interesting area of support on Tesla because we were using it before as resistance. So is this the area to get in here on Tesla? And I'm gonna take my hand. I'm in the sim today, so I'm gonna give it a try. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna put the low on the break of that red candle. So that red candle got all the way into 63s. I'm gonna put my out at 170. 653 a dare.
I like that look as well. So shout out to you for taking that look. Sharif is like, I will be in that Cybertruck and I will take that Cybertruck to the upside. So I want to congratulate you on that trade because that was a really cool look. Again, guys, sorry, I'm not involved in anything. I really need to see a look I really like, which is right now I'm eyeing that AMD short and I'm also eyeing my pal Lucy. Or not my pal yet, but it could be my pal. So I still like the look of Lucy. But right now, what we want to talk about is trading futures. Also, if you want to talk about any ticker, what you could do is go in the chat right now, exclamation point, join, space, thank you, Ramin, $, whatever your ticker is. Yeah, shout out to our lovely production team, Bears vs. Bulls, to everyone in our community, just killing it out here. We're trying to make the show better every single day, and we love community engagement over here at Trader TV Live. So if you want to see whatever ticker you like being analyzed by Neil and Sean, and have Sharif look at it there for you on the green screen. This is our way of switching it up a little bit from what we used to do in that afternoon session. So shout out over here. Also shout out to futures and futures trading. And trading futures with support and resistance. So we're going to dive into these S&R support and resistance zones for intraday trading futures. A couple key factors that you may want to look out for support and for analyzing potential breakouts or reversals at these levels. So what's support and what's resistance? So imagine you get a tug of war. You've got like buyers on one end and sellers at the other, and they're like, no, mine, yours, you know? That's what you actually get to see on the book and the tape sometimes too. It's interesting, you get to see this tug of war happen in real time, but also you see it on the chart sometimes. And so support's gonna be that area where the buyers tend to step in, pushing the price back up. They're like, hey, we're in charge now. And the sellers, once it gets up to resistance level, sellers are like, hey, we're here, bye, go back to the downside. So that's where sellers become more active, halting these price increases and potentially reversing the trend. And how do you visualize these areas in a price chart? There's not always going to be this clean, but here's one example of the SMH on a daily chart. You have some established support, then some established resistance, and then you'll just see examples of buying and selling at support and resistance respectively. Bounce, 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 like a ping pong happening here, or table tennis at support and resistance. So I think I like this little example here on the SMH. But they're not always going to be that clean, right? So how do you identify support and resistance just in general? Well, you can look at prior day highs and lows because prices have this tendency to respect the previous day's highs and lows. I want to shout out to Sharif for talking about that quite a lot. This creates potential zones for potential reversals. Horizontal lines as well. These will mark areas where the price has bounced off repeatedly, which indicate potential support or resistance. What about trend lines? These are fun, right? This is how you can connect swing highs and lows to create a trend line. Prices will often test these levels before breaking support or continuing the trend. I also want to mention as well, I like what Sharif had to say too, but just drawing the whole trend line. You want to see that entire price story, right? Not just a chapter, not the abridged, edited version. You want to see everything here in these markets. But so here's one example, actually on the SPY. Look at this. So you have your price zone, you've got your support and resistance, you have that with volume too, which is always nice. Then you see us bounce off of it once we break above. You see that resistance flip and support, and then you've got a really great look there on support and resistance. Isn't that fun? Let's talk about how do you actually trade at support and resistance zones? Isn't that what we all want to know? Well, we're going to talk about it. You want to look for understanding price action at these zones to determine potential breakouts or reversals. So if you're looking at support, you want to see price tests, right? You want to see the price approaching the support zone, coming up to the gate, being like, hi, how are you doing? If you have that price bounce with strong buying volume, get some more bars on the buy side, for example, a reversal could be likely. What about a false break? Price can dip slightly below support, then quickly recover, which can indicate buying pressure and potential upside. Also confirmation candlesticks. We love confirmation here in the markets and also on the How to Trade show. You might want to see some bullish candlesticks like hammer, bullish engulfing, etc., forming at the support zone, and that can show you, hey, there's going to be some opportunities here. Resistance is great as well. Price test. So similar to support, you want to see the price action, how we do at that resistance level. Does it get rejected with strong selling volume? Do you have more volume bars on your sell side? If so, a reversal could be on the horizon. What about a failed breakout? So you've got that price pushing above resistance, and then it falls back down. That's when you're like, hey, the sellers are still here. We have more downside potential. Confirmation candlesticks. So we love them here again. And what about the on a bearish side, right? You've got to see maybe a hanging man, maybe a shooting star, for example, hanging out at the resistance zone. Additional considerations. Words, aren't they great? Market context. You want to see overall, what is the market doing? Are we bullish? Are we bearish? Are we range bound? This can always influence the validity of these support and resistance zones. As someone who really likes range trading, what I want is just a clear support resistance area. And you also want to be cognizant of the overarching trend. Because if you've got a range forming and we're very much down on the day, that could be a bear flag. You break to the downside. If you have a range forming, you're up on the day, or you're bouncing at a key level like VWAP, shout out to the Dell chart earlier, then that could be a break to the upside. Indicators are great too. We love indicators over here. You want to combine support and resistance with technical indicators like RSI or the MACD for additional confirmation of breakouts or reversals. But indicators should complement and not replace price action analysis. I don't know why I sounded southern there, but it's all good. Risk management is always important. We love it. Always have a stop loss order in place to limit potential losses if the price breaks against your prediction. And you always want to remember too, SNR zones are areas, not exact price points. Price can fluctuate within these zones before breaking or reversing. And false breakout and failed retest are common. Don't go chasing waterfalls. You want to make sure that you're not chasing every price touch at each zone. You want to make sure you see price touches that work. I've definitely fallen into this trap, still do, where you see that and you immediately want to get involved, but that's why we love confirmation. You want to see the whole picture, as Sharif mentioned, of the balance of the evidence. Are we looking more bullish? Are we looking more bearish? Make the decision that way. And backtest your strategy. We love backtesting. Make sure you are looking at historical data to understand the effectiveness before risking real capital. And also practice makes perfect. As someone who's in the sim for a very long time, the sim is a really great place to learn and grow before trading these live markets. Also, Lucy dropped, and I did not have my shorts, so it's all good. I need to be more active about that if I like the level. But if we bounce, maybe I'll go long. How are you doing?
Good. Tesla's really trying to stay above that 177 level. It did do a dip into that area that we talked about, which was yesterday's closing print after that big move up through 177.50, dips below 76 and 3/4, but as you can see, the closing print above that. We're long at 83s, looking for a 77 hold here and a move up. That will be the look on TSLA, or that's the look I'm looking for on Tesla. BNED also did something. It triggered me into a long because it did break above 74 pennies. And so we had a resting order here to go long above 74, took some profits out at 75, didn't take anything out at 76, layered at 77 and 78. Again, this one, because it had almost a quadruple top. There was a triple top from yesterday at this level. And so I said to myself, look, you know, if we get into that level, that would be an interesting area to go long, especially if we can hold it. And I know that Neil put in the chat earlier that there was big size at that specific level. I don't know if that size is still around, nor can I be sure that I'm fully seeing the picture because I am in the sim, so sometimes we don't get the entire book. There was big size at 75 and it did break, and I'm assuming it broke out on this area over here. We're below it again at high 73s. My stop is gonna be the break of 70 because, well, there's an obvious bottom in and around there, so if it does that, then I want none of this trade. So we'll see if we can stay above 75. Spread opening up now for a 75 penny name. It's about $1 2/3 spread, or sorry, $0.01 2/3 spread. So that's not really the look I'm going for. Tesla still above 177. A lot of zigzagging here, a little bit above, a little bit below. I'm unsure what to make of this, but what I do know is that for certain we had buyers stepping up and pushing the price action above the closing print. So I interpret that as quite bullish. Whether or not it remains bullish, an entirely different story. The next beak wetter is a setup at the $0.25 and a third on TSLA, looking for that $0.50 retracement. I don't think this is really the headline that really moves Tesla parabolic. It's not like better China delivery numbers or anything like that. In fact, I see it maybe as quite, I don't want to call it negative. You know, it's not a bad thing. If Donald Trump wins, it's not a bad thing to be in his good books, you know, so much so that you may have an advisory role or a cabinet position. All right, that's great. But from actually taking the job perspective, I don't know if there would be too many people that would be happy about this. From a shareholder perspective, he's already the chief executive officer of the Boring Company, SpaceX. Well, he was Twitter. He has a major role still in X or whatever it's called. Obviously, Tesla. How does the market look at that? I mean, the dude sleeps 5 hours a night. Can it really get any worse than that? So anyway, I don't know how the market reacts to that. I don't even think he accepts, but that's just my opinion, nothing more than that. It's holding above 177 right now. It hasn't come into that fifth of a dollar. It's about 2 pennies away from there. So there does seem to be a bit of a seller at the fifth of a buck, which is that 20 penny area. Unsure why. We'll see. Every time we come into that 20, we're met with a wall of sellers. At least in the last 10 minutes or so. We're printing 18s right now. Could we get a break above 20? We're up 1/5 of a percent, almost a quarter here on the day. So yeah, that's really the trade I'm involved in on Tesla, looking for that move up. And here comes 20s. It's got a cross for me to get filled. So we'll pack our patience on that. Nothing happening at this moment on BNED. I'm long 74s, and it's 74.5. I'm a little concerned about this name, though, because the volume is not what you want it to be on a 70 penny name. I got to tell you the truth. Right now, the volume is dropping off like, I don't know, something. Like it's like taking a nosedive right now. It's done 14 million shares, which already is not that much for a 74 penny name. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not this one can catch a bid and get into that 77 penny area. But Tesla's flying now. So we got printed on all our beak wetters, our resting beak wetters there as it broke through the third of a dollar. So we'll see if we can get some more.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I want Elon Musk's sleep schedule. If the man can run X number of companies, pun was not intended. X number of companies. And we know he loves the letter X. I'm really pat myself on the back for that. But yeah, because I'm like, if this man can run that many companies and have 5 hours of sleep a night, like I am oversleeping. Like, man, I want your sleep schedule. I want to have that life. So I don't know. I might have to be long Elon sleep schedule. But anyways, right now I am short SPY on the reel. I said I don't love like taking trades when I get this tired around 1 p.m. because then I make really questionable life choice AMD. But I do like this SPY look. I also am still, to quote the name of a famous show, I love Lucy. I still love that look on Lucy. I will deal with that. But right now, I want to take out some of this position on the SPY. We keep bouncing off view up. Why I like the SPY short is I really wanted 526.60s. I was a bit chasey, not super chasey, but like a skosh chasey. Because I was like, if we're not going to get 60s, I still like this trade, I'll take 50s, right? Took 50s, or 53s, okay. 53s, because sometimes it's like you have to get your foot in the door. I appreciate Sharif saying this a lot too. It's like sometimes being frugal can get you out of opportunities you like, which is not good, right? So that's why I was like, I want to be frugal, but I also want that opportunity. I still have a third of this position in, and I will add if we get back to 50s and reject. But what I really want Tell me what I want, what you really, really want. I want a VWAP break. Shout out to the Spice Girls. That would put some spice in these markets here. Vic Jan Novak, yeah, I had the same situation with AMD. I had a short on it, and the short actually would have worked, but I got out immediately because it did pop when I got in it. I forgot I had the order set because I was just like salivating at the Lucy chart. I think this 166.50 area still could be interesting, but yeah, I think AMD has really been a bamboozler as of late. Shout out to Sharif on this. It was really strong yesterday, then it sold off. Then it kind of came back and gave you a little bit of chop and churn range action. I should have been playing this range a lot better than I did. But yeah, shout out to Sharif there in that here Cybertruck, because that is a really good look. Lucy rejecting. SPY, I'm just still spying it. ANF had a bit of an AN fall here. Yeah, I guess we found a hitch, an A and Fitch over here. So in falling to the downside, falling off that 9 EMA area, the area I'll be interested in is if we bounce off 183.60s. Right now, we're at 184.80s. I like that 183.60s. That was a bit of a chop and turn area for us earlier. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just got stopped at a Tesla. Sadly, we were able to take out quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, about half the position. And then it did come into my entry, and that was my line in the sand. So stopped out for the remaining amount. I had 40% left on TSLA for break even. So we'll see. I mean, I can absolutely be persuaded to get back in, but I got to tell you, it looks uncertain. And this is, I don't know. You know, you get these zigzagging candles. It's respecting this level, this 176.75. That's for sure, in my estimation. And I had that level earmarked as yesterday's closing print, as well as we had definite interactions with this level earlier, 10 o'clock, again at 10:25, and then we really broke through it there on that 12:30 pop on the Elon Donald Trump news. But it is magneting itself back into that level. And look, if it can hold above this 176.75, I'll take it long again. I have no issues with that. But, you know, just putting in lower highs now. And so that's my concern that we're putting in around the top. The one that's really kind of, I don't want to say frustrating, but surprising. I didn't think that BNED would have this much of a volume drop off. This is quite unusual to see a name of this price have a spread of this sort. It's not wide right now, but I just saw a two penny spread on a 73 penny name. That's too wide. And that makes it awfully hard to get in and get out. You should be less than 1 penny spread on these names if it's doing the requisite volume. So we're break even at the moment at 74 pennies. But this candle did make me feel all that good about this trade, where it rocketed up all the way. It was about to break 77 and trigger me. But look at this. It met the same wall of sellers at this candle over here, which was 117, that it met initially at 105. So it was definitely a seller of large proportions at 76.5 pennies. You have 2 rejections on the 1 minute at that level. And this one really is an aggressive rejection because it looked like really someone piled in there heavily at 76.5, and it pushed it all the way down into basically 72.5. 4 pennies on a 70 penny name. So I'm a little concerned. My stop's in place through the break of 70, but I don't know if we continue to see higher highs and higher lows on this name. BNED, Barnes & Noble, not one that we typically talk about, but it's a holdover from last week, and it is one that is, you know, heavily shorted, so we could definitely get some movement in it if it gets moving here. So we'll keep eyes on BNED. It's the only trade that I'm in. I'm not short Apple at 190.69. Ramin has tried multiple times to remove it. It's not removing. I'm not long CCG at 212. Those are incorrect positions. Yeah, we're having some issues with the position board, guys, so we do apologize about that. And probably because I'm in the sim today, and then maybe when I'm in tomorrow, it'll be all good there. All right, let's look at some of the future. You know, we haven't definitely traded anything futures adjacent today, except maybe Tesla and Apple. But this level is just staring at me here, man. My goodness. 18,880 to the high side, and VWAP essentially to the low side. The future has been in a range. I was thinking maybe a double top was in the works at this level over here. You get these 2 prominent crests with a definable neckline being the bottom end of the VWAP. but it's not manifesting in that way. It looks as if, you know, we're going to continue to range here until the volume comes in. We're in no man's land. We're not at any 100-point levels. We haven't touched 18.8, and we haven't been close to 18.9. So this is like your prototypical consolidative day on the NQ, which is fine because we printed all-time highs yesterday on the NDX, not the NQ, not the futures, but the index closed above 17,000 for the first time in its history. So, I mean, it stands to reason that we do get some profit taking on the day, but the NQ awfully consolidative. It could behoove us here to have a possible trade on VWAP. I mean, it's been holding VWAP the entirety of the morning. Does it hold it up again here? So let's go ahead and head on over to the futures trading screen. And because we're trading in the sim today, we're going to trade the MNQ.
Ooh.
We're not going to trade the NQ or the TQQs. We're going to trade the MNQ today, but I'm not going to get in this willy-nilly. I need proof that it's going to hold up again at these levels. And I want to point out one other thing, is that don't use VWAP as a strict out. Look what it did before. It wicks below, it double bottomed over here, quickly reclaimed the level. So VWAP is an area, not a level. It's an area, guys, not a level. So if you're using it as your stop, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I like that. And one thing Sean as well has said in the past about VWAP that I like as well is it kind of gives you like a sense of, are we above VWAP? Like, are we a little bit more bullish? Are we a little bit more bearish? Like specifically if you're looking at the SPY, right? Or the Qs. Speaking of the SPY, that's been my big futures trade today. I don't want to say paper hand because I did stick to my plan. I got half this out at VWAP, or sorry, 2/3 out at VWAP. Then I added back in. We came back to that level. We popped into 70s with an aggression and I got out. So I did do it according to plan. I'm still up on the day, but it's like also Adira, don't trade P&L. Trade what you like. I'm going to continue wagging my old man style, wagging my finger. So this is my look on the SPY. Shout out to Kyle Burdett for mentioning Meta here. I also want to talk about, we had that big drop on Meta. People were like, I don't see any news on this. I think for me, my take on Meta is it dropped from a technical level. And you might be like, Adira, what makes you say that? I mean, I want to shout out Sharif for talking about this crazy look on the Meta chart because Sharif totally called this out. We had that big move down, then we come back up. And again, this happens to be in confluence with VWAP. It's not really a VWAP. It's just an area we top and turned around earlier, which was that 477.80, 477.75, right? We get that once, we come back up, then we drop. So for me, I think that move on Meta is totally a technical move. So I just want to shout that out. But Kyle Burdett was saying there is, big Kyle Burdett, apologies, was saying there's a flag on Meta in the daily chart. Oh, there is. This daily chart in Meta. Oh, I'm obsessed with this. Look at that rejection of 480. We had that big move down here with the viciousness here on, yeah, this would have been earnings April 24th. Then we consolidate a little bit, come back up, get a little flaggish, but we cannot get above 480. Every time we try at 480, we knock on the door, and Meta's like, no, I'm good. I'm okay, thanks. I'd rather go back down. And you know where it goes back down to? I can tell you. It goes back down to 464. I don't know why I said that so intensely, but I love patterns, and Meta is giving you a heck of a pattern. Thank you to Kyle Burdett for pointing that out. Let's take a look at Micron, because Gaurav is saying it's a little bit rangy to my type of look. And I mean, who am I to say no to a range trade? I couldn't, how dare I? Unless it doesn't give me clear levels. Okay, I see what you mean about Micron here. To me, Micron, I like to have a little bit cleaner cut levels. Like SPY at one point was giving you clear 30-cent in and outs. With something like Micron, I think earlier we were a little bit cleaner of a range. You had that 130, 170 up into 132.40. But right now it's kind of getting a bit choppier. We had a higher low here up to 132, higher high 132.60. Now we're making a lower high, right? So I think something like this, I do think that 132 or VWAP bounce is not a bad look, but as Sharif just said very astutely, VWAP's not a level. So I would probably need something a little bit cleaner, a little bit more motion in the ocean to get my boat rowing for Micron. I don't know why I went into water puns. Micron is indeed a semiconductor stock. In case you really did, I forget what company this was. No, you didn't. Also, Meta, if you want to come up and reject that 476, I better consider a short. How are you doing?
Good. BNED right at that level again, guys. Okay, so this is the level we were talking about, 76.5 pennies. Now, if we reject off here, it's going to be the fourth rejection in a row. Again, I don't see the size reflected on the book to kind of reject this, so you have to assume it's an iceberg, or because I'm in the sim, I'm not getting the full picture here on the level 2. So here we are. We're up again. We haven't printed 77s yet, and here we go again. Big move down. Whoever's shorting at this level is renewing their entry, or people are taking profits. For whatever reason, 76.5 pennies on Barnes & Noble is a level, and we're not able to break through it, at least not yet. I'm packing my patience here. We're long 74s. I'm sitting at 77s for the out. It's not forthcoming. So, yeah, so come what may, we'll see exactly what we get. Long Tesla again at the yesterday's closing print here at 85s. I did get a bit of slippage. If we make a new low, through the break of that trough, that's the end of that. Already wet my beak there on some profits in front of 77s. Tesla's becoming awfully rangy and with lower highs. So I am worried that the bottom could drop off at any time here on TSLA. It's been a rinse and repeat kind of trade, but there does seem to be buyers at the $0.75 area at 176, but for how long? That's really the question before we really start moving down. We could get an aggressive move down, I would say, if we retraced into the volume weighted average price, which is far away from current price action, 176 right now. So that would be a 70 penny move to the downside, and I would not be able to hold it against me there. Whether I'm in the sim or not, that's just bad trading. So that's what I'm looking. Okay, so back to this BNED now. I'm starting to see that prints came in at 77. So what I'm doing now is scouring the book or the tape to see when those 77 printed and on what gateway. So I can't find it right now. I'm not even seeing high 7.6s. So I have to look back after. But the reason is you want to see what gateway it's getting printed at so you can know exactly where some of the support could be coming in. So not being able to see it yet, but you did have that print right at 77s. It didn't cross 77. That's why it didn't get filled. There is size here, but 2,081 lots at 77. Here we go at 77 again. Can we break it this time on BNED? There's a whole bunch of size. Nothing is getting eaten off this size. So that seller still strong and not allowing any advancement against their position as of yet. So we'll see. I mean, there hasn't been a clear area of resistance like that since the area we saw at 75. Okay, so now we're crossing above 77s, and I get printed on that. We'll wait to see if we get 78s. Packing my patience on this one. We still haven't cleared all the size at 77, by the way, so I was part of that size that got filled, but that size is still there. So big seller there. Now we're starting to see a little bit getting eaten off that 2,000, now down to 1984. We'll see if that number can get dropped a little bit more, but that's at 77, it's not 76.91. So big move, or not big move, but a nice move up here on BNED. Tesla still doing nothing at break even. If I had to have my guess, this is looking like flat bottom breakish. But, you know, you could get a flat bottom break and a pop right back up on Tesla, right? These algos will spare you nothing. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Also, thank you so much to Kyle Burdett for that $2 super chat. Shout out Roundy Bottoms and Motion in the Ocean. So great look there. To Big Kyle Burdett. Also, I am short Tesla. The petition board does not show it. I got involved 176.80s looking for that flat bottom break, and I was going to basically go into 177s. I want 176.56s as my profit taker, but as Sharif just said, like, you know, Tesla can get wild. Tesla can give you a flat bottom break and then be like, I'm going to go to 185. And that's a very real thing that it can do. Last week, we had that day with that Pepsi truck story, and Tesla decided on the Pepsi truck catalyst to casually go from like low 170s to above 180. So, I mean, Tesla will do its thing 21 when it darn well pleases. So I want to be cognizant of that, but right now, in this Cybertruck here. Also, if you love this community as much as we do, because we love it an awful lot, we're always so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here with you guys every single day. If you want to have a ticker that you like get looked at here by Sean, Neil, and co. All you have to do is go in the chat right now. Think of that ticker. Think about it real hard because you have one vote per day. And I don't know why I sound like a televangelist. Go !join, space, $sign, and your ticker of choice. Will it be TSLA? Will it be LUCY? Will it be HOOD? Whatever ticker you fancy. Whatever tickles your fancy. Whatever tickles your fancy gets tickers. Shout out to Sharif. Then you put that right there, put that in the chat, and maybe we'll take a look. So thank you, Tesla. Out of that trade, I want to take a look as well here. There was something I wanted to look at for sale. Oh, yes. It was it Robinhood? It was the pipe. Yeah. Oh, Chewy. It was Chewy. Piper here mentioning Chewy. And Chewy, I mean, we haven't really chewed on this one for a little while here. Let's see how the market's digesting Chewy. Okay. Okay, this is really interesting. we have a flat top and we have higher lows. So part of this is like, hey, it could be a flat top break. It also has some of the makings of a bull flag. We had that nice long green pull, and then we had these kind of higher lows, this chop and churn. I think this could break up, but we do have some clear resistance as well at 21.89. 21 certainly did something for Chewy. It doesn't want to leave 21. It wants to stay at 21. Thank you very much. So let's see how this goes. Chewy's killing, says Mr. IN. Yeah, I agree. I think if we break below the 90 MA and then make a lower low of that 21.59, that could be a little bit of more of a move to the downside. But we have to wait and see on CHWY. Let's see how this market continues to chew on this one, digest this one. Interesting look right now. Tesla, I'm still looking at. This could be a bounce at 176.50, in which case, don't mind if I do. And the SPY is still chopping around here as well.
All right, let's have a look here at ASTS. I put in a bit of a dip trade on this. Now, I'm a little unsure how I'm going to take this because we had that nice rounded top. Now we're finding some support at the 50 on the 5. I didn't put my order there. I put it at VWAP. I felt that that was probably the better level. But now as I look back at the price action and what it did and didn't support, look what it did over here. I mean, it broke VWAP. There was no support at VWAP there, but it held up at the 50. So why am I using VWAP? That's because I didn't chart enough. And now it looks like it's going away from me here. I'm getting printed on BNED, by the way, guys. So that 77 did break. So now this is going to be interesting here to see if we can squeeze, because now we know that this is heavily shorted. It's going to be where the shorts are sitting. So 78 printed on BNED. We're long 73s. Let's see how high we can get. But to go back to the trade that I was talking about here on ASTS. Oops, where is it? Yes, so this is where I have my entry over here at the volume weighted average price. It's at 7 2/3. It did come into 7.5. 7.5 is, well, that's almost where the 50 period is. The 50 period on my chart sitting at 757. So if you sat anywhere in front of that 7.5 to front run it, or right at the 50 period, you got printed. So good look here for it, and it's not going to come down into my level. This looks like it's a hammer candle being put in here. So we're going to either have to chase this or leave it as it is. What I could do is maybe move up my level into the 50. So if it does another retest of the 50, then we could get in. So I'll go ahead and sit at where the 50 is on my chart right now, which is 58. So I'm going to put it a bit above that. Let's put it at 60. So we'll look to see if we can get filled at 60. That'll be another retest of the 50 on ASTS. I don't want to leave it at VWAP. I feel like it hasn't really respected VWAP on the day. The only real concern is it gets away from me, and it looks like it is right now. It's printing another 5-minute candle will make a new high through 70.70. I mean, this could get away from me super quick here on ASTS. Another heavily shorted name, by the way, so keep your eye on that. The other trade, wow, look at that dump off 78 pennies. So we print 78 sevens and 78s and right back into 74s. Still in the money on this one, but that's how quickly it gives it back. I'm less inclined to get out here because what I'm not seeing is a new candle will make a new low. So what you have is an upward channel, but a lot of bamboozlement. We know that this name is heavily shorted, BNED, Barnes & Noble. Let me just double check exactly what the short float is on that again. It's 15%, 14.9%. So not as heavily shorted as maybe ASTS or SMMT or any of these other names, but definitely something around there that could really help push this down or push this up, excuse me, if the shorts start covering aggressively there. So I'm going to continue to hang out here, 75 pennies. We've got top wick for now. How long that trend stays for on BNED, an entirely different story though. Let's flip back here to ASTS, see if that 760 may get printed. And yeah, a bit of a red candle coming in now. I'm assuming this one's probably going to make a newer high, so I don't anticipate coming down into the $0.50 if we do. Yeah, and there we go, right back into that $0.75 again. So it looks like it may not print us here, waiting at 60s. Yeah, that's my frugality, I guess, but I'm just going to leave it where it is. All right, what are you guys looking at there in the chat? Ike Anderson, CTNT. I haven't had eyes on that today. Let's have a look at what CTNT is all about.
Cheetah? No, I don't know. I think it's a small baby child.
So Cheetah Net Supply, whatever that is. What is this? So, it's just, no, I don't. 98 pennies.
That's my top name of the day.
Yeah, I tried to break through a buck. It really is having trouble breaking through a buck. We've talked about this $1 trade on some of these small cap gappers, but I got to tell you, the volume on this for a sub $1 name is just not good enough, guys. Sub 10 million, 9.33 million shares done on the day. I'll give you the deets. It's a $32-ish million market cap, so it is a small cap gapper. 15.4 million share float on CTNT, yeah, CTNT, I typed it wrong. CTNT, there we go. With respect to the short flow, let's see if this one's shorted as well. CTNT, that seems to be the running theme. No, this one kind of deviates from that. About 0.75% of the float is shorted. I got to tell you, the range per candle on this is quite wide, so I'm less inclined to want to trade it. Also, the volume for the price is a little bit suspect. If this can stay above that $1 level and really get away from it, I'm not talking about $1.05. I'm talking about $1.15, $1.20, and then comes back in and uses that that $1 level as a key area of support. Then I'll be all ears on that one. But for now, it's just too rangy and a little tough to trade. ASTS, though, getting away from my dip trade, so that looks like it's not going to come to fruition. And BNED, back break even on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you say it gets too rangy, I'm always like, what is that? But yeah, BNED, congrats on those beak orders, though. That was a great look there. Putting the beak in BNED. Also, I figured out the SPY. I said that like it's not like a revolutionary thing. I'm still down in this name. But I figured out I should backtrack. I figured out how I need to trade the SPY. Because there are things I like in the SPY, but I didn't know how to trade it. Then I realized it's like Adara. Just take your pops and get out of Dodge. Don't wait around for moves. Don't add to positions. That's not your bag for the SPY. It's not even your bag, period, Adara. You like your scalps. So what I'm doing now that I've stopped talking to myself like I'm in like an old 40s movie, what I'll be doing is if I like areas of support or resistance, I'll get involved. I'll take not a huge amount of shares, but enough I can, kind of chew on, and I'll get out quickly. That's what I did with this short. I was like interested in that 526.20 area. Then I realized, hey, we might not get it. I got out at 30s. I made like 12 pennies. I was pleased as punch. But here's the thing. Okay? With this SPY, I was going to take another short the pop here, but then I was like, you know what? We do have this kind of bullish candle here to the downside, resting on VWAP. I don't know if I love that. The Qs here also doing a similar thing where they're kind of trying to perch, figuring out, do they want to continue higher or go to the downside? Let's wait and find out. But you know what has been giving you lots of downside? And what has been a name of fascination for me? It's going to be our pal Meta. Look at Meta. Like, I know I said I wanted to wait for that 476 rejection, but you don't always get what you want, or you can't always get what you want, to shout out that song. And I think that 475.20, that's pretty darn delicious to me as well. But you know what else is delicious is getting audience participation involved in voting on tickers. You only have 10 minutes left to do that.
Yeah, I know. 1:50 is the cutoff time, guys. 1:41 right now. So you got a whole 9 minutes. Get ready to vote, baby, because it is your segment, that viewer's choice time of the day where you get to talk, where you get to say what we talk about. Make sure to go in there in the chat, type an exclamation point, join space, the $, and the ticker you want us to talk about. Been umpteen amount of trades today on Tesla. I'm sure people will have questions about NVIDIA as well as Lucy. Maybe you're interested in some small cap gappers and you want to get Neil's take on things. I know he was looking at Lucy. I know he also had eyes on BNED on that level. So make sure if you have questions about those small cap gappers that we mention to you every day, throw them in there in the chat. If you're more big tech inclined, I know a lot of people are yelling about Dell today. Maybe you guys want Neil and Sean to have a look at DELL. Go there in the chat. Type in exclamation point, space, $, join DELL if you want Dell or whatever ticker you want. You only have about 8 minutes left, so get on that, or you'll have to wait till tomorrow. All right, so BNED is the last trade we have. We're not short Apple. We're not long CCG. I just want to point that out. We're out of the money now by half a penny on this BNED trade. We're long 74s. We wet our beak on the 78s, but as you can see there, big move down from that 78 all the way down into 71. But it's still holding that higher low business. We haven't put in a newer low. To me, a newer low comes vis-a-vis that 69-cent level. So it's going to be the break of this level here that's going to get me out of this trade. Otherwise, I want to continue to hold this and see if we can maybe move up into that 80 penny area or whatever. Peggy Bundy was hot, changed my mind. Yeah, shout out to Kathy Segal. She's an OG, no question about that, man.
I love her. She's so funny. But yeah, so I mean, shocker, plot twist of the century. I'm looking at Tesla. No, I'm joking. I've been looking at this name all day. I'm proud. I turned this name from my worst name of the day to my strongest name of the day, P&L wise. And I think it's just because, you know, taking trades that make sense. Adara did sitting down and immediately taking a short on Tesla at 175, 60 or 50, following a big green candle. Does that make any sense? I'll answer it for you. No, it didn't, Adara. It made no sense. But then, did I even order this? No, I didn't. There we go. I want to get back short at this 176.40 because to me, I think this is splicing up to be a spicy area. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is like, it's not, you know, I'm not trying to say that's like, oh, like, you know, I puffed it up. I'm just saying when you make decisions that make sense, the trading makes more sense. That could be the truism of the year. It's not like it's some profound statement, but it's something that I think sometimes you need to have these hits. You need to have the market smack you in the face to realize just do things that work for you, do things that make sense for you, and listen to the market. Sit down, take your time, take a breath, and just make those trades. Like for me, continuing to short these rips on Tesla, that was something that made sense. Going long off that previous area that I liked, you know, that made sense. It's just taking things that make sense for you, not rushing into things. The second I sit down, I do not need to be in a trade that makes no sense. No, you know what doesn't make sense? That decision. So that's really what you have to learn and grow from every single day. Also, just don't want to, you know, to say it one more time here, 6 minutes left. Vote for the tickers you want to see, whatever ticker you fancy, whatever tickles your fancy. Put that in there in the chat. Exclamation point, join, space, $sign your ticker. Tesla does not want me in that short, that's fine. Apple though, I might take another bite out of this one. Initially one of the short 191.16, I was like, well, Adara, we could continue to go higher. And then it was like, well, I should have gotten the short because that fell a little bit lower, but you know what, that's on me. You just have to, that's why you have to be really quick on the ball. If you have, not out of nowhere, mind you, but if you have conviction on something, you need to go after it with that conviction. I'm disappointed in myself for Lucy because I kept being like, oh, I might want to short on Lucy. And then I made no efforts to do that. I made no efforts to do that. So it's like, whose fault is that, Adara? Your fault. Not to beat myself up here. I had a really good day trading-wise, but I think you have to also, especially when you have days that are good P&L-wise, that you feel like you made good decisions, like how could you have made them better? And I could have made my day better by just getting involved in that Lucy. So I think that's a huge thing to just know, to try to learn and grow from every single day. SPY, if you reject 526.40 again, it's on site. And by it's on site, I mean, I will short you. I have my eyes on you. I spy. Also, Frank Jones mentioning, yeah, we do have Fed's Williams speaking right now, should be taking the mic now. We have the Fed's beige book as well coming in at 2 p.m. Also, we have a new Fed who's going to be joining the Fed on August 21st, and her name is Beth Hammack. So she will be replacing Loretta Mester, who is retiring effective June 30th. And did you know there's such a thing as a vice president of the Fed? And so Cleveland Fed vice president will be taking Loretta Mester's spot from June 30th up until August 21st. But I cannot wait to see her replacement, Beth Hammack, step up there. She's a Goldman Sachs official. I don't know why I'm so excited about a new Fed, but I sure am. How are you doing?
All right. Looking at the future, and this is the range that we've been talking about on the future. That's been essentially all day. So I'm long the NQ or the MNQ at this level. So let's go ahead and cover one right here for a nice 10-point winner. Let's see if we can move up a little bit in this range. It's been a super rangy day on the futures. I mean, I don't anticipate making it all the way back into the top end of the range here, 18,875. Or not, that's not the exact local top, 18,879 is. So this candle over here made the high, and that took us to 79 3/4, essentially 80. Right, so you can make the 1880 is the top. And then the bottom doesn't really have a definable level. It's generally that VWAP area. The bottom is less defined, I would say, than the top, but the range has been there on the futures. Big move up last few days in the future, and now we're down 0.6 on the day. So we'll see if we're able to hold up here. Already took that trade, and we'll see what else we get. What else we got over here? So let's flip back to some small cap gappers and see what's going on there. So ASTS, as you know, kind of unsurprised by this, the fact that it held up at the 50, because we talked about this 50 period to hold up here. I had eyes on VWAP. That was the incorrect move. I shouldn't have had eyes on VWAP there. I should have been alive to the fact that it was respecting the 50, not the volume weighted average price. Otherwise, you know, I could have had an order there at 50s. It still hasn't broken through 8 though. So it's definitely finding some resistance. It's actually coming into the 10 from the south side. So prior to that, you can see it had been holding the 10 like a glove from the north side. And then ever since it broke it, this candle over here, 1 o'clock exactly, every single print has been below the 10 period on the 5. So funny how that works, huh? First it holds it as support, now it's hugging it as resistance. ASTS continuing to play here, a part of my analysis. So interesting look on the way to 8, trying to break above the 10 period on the 5. ASTS good look. The other names, TSLA had a really interesting headline. Midday helped push that up above the closing print from yesterday, 176.75. That gave way around over here, and we had to get out of our position for a 20-penny loser on the remaining amount at 130, as it did break that $0.75 area. That was a 10-penny loser, actually, because I got out at 73s. We're long 84, so 11-penny loser. And now it is hugging, for whatever reason, that $0.25 at the pivot points and ranging between there and the 10. Let's see if it can reclaim 176.75, which is yesterday's closing print. The future getting a little bit of a bounce here. We'll see if we can get some more outs, maybe at the 40s a day. Yeah,
shout out to Sharif there with the futures trade, with that BNED trade. Also, that ASTS trade was great earlier with all those Beakwater. So I want to shout out Sharif. So happy to have you back, and happy belated birthday. Yeah, hope it was excellent. And yeah, so shout out there. SPY, like, it's funny, you were in a futures trade that, shout out to you. I think that's a great look. I am in a futures trade that it's like a Dara. Did you get a little bit too excited? Maybe. No, I'm joking. We're still below 526.50s. I'm cool with this. But I did like that we kind of get into these 526.50, 526.40 areas. And then sellers are like, yay, springtime. And then we go to the downside. And I'm like, if we kept doing that, that'd be great as well. I feel like my timing on these SPY shorts has not been great. It's either I get involved too late, or I get involved and then the second after I get involved, or the second before I get filled, it decides to have its little moment. So I'm like, you know what? I can, oh, okay, now this is not a vibe. Come on, SPY, release me. Let me out. This was poor execution on my part. It's a big yikes moment on my part. Good times. Still up on the day. Again, not trying to trade P&L, trying to trade stuff I like. SPY is my worst name now, thanks to that decision. And I don't know why I felt the need to force myself into that trade, because I feel like I kind of did. I think it was clear that the actual range was that base was kind of the where you go long, and that's instead where you go short. I should have been a lot more careful about that, but I do want to quote Baron Kia 2020 hookup in the chat saying, no fear. I think you have to have no fear in these markets. I did like the setup, obviously, or I wouldn't have gotten in. I just think I was kind of like, oh, well, I want to get involved in like a trade at the end of it. I don't know why I'm a Valley girl now. But I wanted to get involved. I wanted to have that involvement, and I just kind of maybe pushed it. But you know what is interesting hanging to the end of the day here? Tesla.
ANF, Neil said.
Oh, ANF?
Yeah,
oh, my gosh, ANF. Oof. Trying to pull that up here. Yeah, Abercrombie.
Here, I got it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Here it is, guys. ANF. Big move up there. There's the ANF, 196.99, and then it moved $7 in a heartbeat. I'm looking to see if there is a headline that came in midday. Nope, there's a price spike coming in here, only letting me know about this. There's nothing yet. We'll let you know as soon as there is, if there is, but that is a candle worth 230,000 shares. So that will let you know how light that book was, because it was able to blow through all that, then obviously triggered something there, which pushed it all the way back down. Let's look at it at the 1 minute. This is the 5 minute right now. So there you go. It took place awfully quick. And I can even cut this down even more. We can go to the 10-second to really see it. But there you go. Big move down there. Now it's really trying to claim 190 on the door, knocking there with 190. It's at the $0.75. Wow. That's very interesting. If we get anything there for you guys with respect to that move up, we'll let you know. Yeah, I know. But that's, yeah. Ram is letting me know that it had earnings today. Cognizant of that, but you know, this is the earnings move, right? This is kind of just, we're not really sure what's happening. So yeah, big move there. ANF, nice look. Unsure exactly what to do, but it's an absolute print factory on this futures trade, so I'm just going to cover it here. This is a sim trade, guys. I'm in the sim today, as I do not have the allowed to trade until I write my yearly compliance exam, so hopefully we'll get that done ASAP, and we'll be live for you guys again tomorrow. But this futures trade, I really want to go through this because it's like, you know, this is my initial bias. Sorry, let me just go to the other one here. My initial bias was for a double top to be coming in on the future. And so if you want a double top to come in, it's not just about you rejecting off that level, but the real double top is to say that this uptrend is done. And so you need a neckline break. We didn't get that neckline break. That's what caused me to feel that this was going to be a range trade. When we had that double top come in, and then we kept coming into the same levels and balancing out that same level. Doesn't mean it's going to last forever, right? Because the bottom can drop off or the top can come off at any time. But your chances are better than they would have been had that not been the case. And so that's what I'm trying to say there. Interesting look on said future. It didn't respect any levels. There was really nothing to the downside. You could have made the argument earlier it was VWAP. No, it broke VWAP here on a closing basis, double bottom. And then you could say, okay, well, this looks awfully interesting here. It's about that quarter point area. No. It kept breaking that. So there was really no line in the sand for this one. It was a general area. And so, you know, that's kind of the tougher look there. Anyway, Tesla, yeah, thank you for that. So I'm going to have to throw it to Adara, and she's going to be closing out the show as I will be headed up to the green screen.
Yeah, thank you so much. And shout out again for your futures trade. The future is bright in that trade there. But you know what's not bright is Faraday Future. I don't want to bully Faraday Future, but they did have their earnings, and the market said, no. We did move up here. We tried to have a push up here. Where is this in the pre? Up to 90 pennies, and then we had lower high. And since then, we have had sequentially lower highs. Interesting look here. Right now, we're around that 66 penny level here for FF. I to the E. I like this Darwin saying, gotta wear shades, yeah, because the future's so bright. Fortunately, Faraday Futures does not need to wear shades, but great look for Sharif on his futures trade. Also, NVDL. Ike Anderson specifically requesting NVDL, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I think that's a really interesting one. We don't look at NVDL a lot. We'll look at its older sister, NVDA, all the time, but we don't really give it any love. NVDL feels like that little sister that's, or like the middle child. It's like, no one talks about me. But so this NVDL was a great look. We tried to push above here, that 60-20, or is it 62 area, where we had these pushes up here, these wicks, and then NVDL was like, I don't think so. Sold off here, but we bounced at VWAP, and then continued to have higher highs and higher lows since then. I think this is a nice look. I think we do have continued these bearish wicks here, getting near that 62.40 area. But I think it is, you know, important to note that we've had these wicks in the past, and NVDL, sorry, is mostly just shaking them off. So I would say, like, as long as you continue to have these higher highs, higher lows, I think that's a great look. I also think a bounce off 62.24 could be interesting. And I say that because that was that previous area of resistance, and it was also where we wicked up to, and it was also kind of resistance in the pre-market. So I like that 62.40 or 62.24 as it comes into support right now. We're a couple pennies away from that. But NVDL, as I say that, NVDL is like, yeah, no, I'm going to try to fall. The spread on this isn't bad, though, about 2 to 3 pennies. So nice look here for NVDL. Hope you print Ike Anderson. Thank you so much to the super chat from Ian Rispetto. Thank you so much, Ian Rispetto. $4.99 super chat. Can we talk about CAVA? Can we talk about CAVA? I got it at 75 today and like the stock for a long hold as possibly an upcoming CMG, hopefully. What do you think? Yeah, well, I have to be in the right index first. Let's go to the NY. Let's see CAVA on the long term. Shout out to Mike Edward yesterday on the market recap. You can catch that with Sean and I every day from 4 to 4:30. I forgot what times were for a moment. It's been a tired day. We're going to have to eat and have some caffeine after this. But yeah, right now, I mean, on the intraday look, I think this 83.50 is kind of a nice, a little wick here forming as resistance. Then we see it as support. I think that's a nice look. But if you're looking for a longer term play, again, not going to go in the fundamentals of the company. Though yesterday, the CAVA CEO was so sassy on the earnings call, and I loved it. He was like, yeah, I mean, like, the consumers aren't trying to spend a lot of money, but like clearly they're looking to spend their money at CAVA. And I was like, I like the respect. I like the energy. Shout out to him. But also, shout out to this 68 level here on CAVA. Look at that resistance we had here, top and turn for quite a little bit. Then we follow to the downside. And then we start our ascent here mid-April. And look where we find a support. That's right, 68. It also was support on the 90 MA. What a look. What a great look. Then we push higher, and we kind of see these chop and churn here with obvious support for me, in my opinion, that 77 level, continuing to push higher. I think if we keep seeing 77 as support, then if we fail even lower, that's 68. I think that's a nice look. But I have to say, in general, like, you know, again, not advice, just my take on the chart. I think we did have that rounded bottom earlier with that 56 coming in from starting in mid-July 23, ending early mid-February 2024. I think we did have that double top, or sorry, that rounded top formation, rounded bottom formation, English. We had a rounded bottom formation. We're continuing to the upside. Nice look for Cava. And again, that CEO seems very bullish and very sassily positive about what they're doing. So shout out there. I think that's a nice look. Ian Rispetto, though of course no advice. Yeah, so I want to, Jesse Munson saying can't ignore the volume in FFIE. Yeah, I wasn't trying to be too flippant about FFIE. I apologize for that. We do have 235 million shares in volume, so you're right, that's a really good point there on that FFIE volume. And also, since we last looked at this a couple minutes ago, we are now seeing that 66 area, which was initially resistance, flipping as support. So who knows? This could be continued look at FFIE. And I mean, clearly there are eyes on Faraday futures. We do have, again, almost 236 million shares of volume. So shout out to that. I think as well, if we can break above that 71 area, that could be kind of spicy. We had that pop up twice here as resistance. Let's see. But you know what? We can't. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Shout out to Ramin and Fabian, killing it in production. Shout out to everybody here. We have Sean. We have Neil on the big desk, which we'll see very soon. We've got Brendan over there. We have Sharif killing it. Thanks again to everyone in the back as well, having a great time. I'm just always so grateful to be here. It was actually a pretty good trading day for me. Did give up some of those wins on the SPY. I guess, you know, my eye wasn't on the prize with the SPY, but it's all good. You live, you learn, and I'm really proud of the trading I did. Beige book incoming. Thank you, Aaron and Joanna Brewster, for letting us know that. We do have the beige book incoming. But you know what also we have incoming? It's going to be that afternoon show. I hope you guys had a really great time here with us today. It's been such a fun time to trade. Tobias Henderson Hernandez, words Adara. Tobias Hernandez saying DJT. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. A little bit, not a huge volume spike, slightly more volume than we had. Continuing to kind of bounce here off that 9 EMA. What a candle, though. This is quite the topping tail candle we had here, heading into that 5140 level. And TJT is like, I do not want smoke. I want to go back to the downside. Thank you very much. So it's falling down here. It is 2 p.m., so we did get that beige book here, which is an interesting look. Thank you, Jesse Munson, for the shout out. Yeah, I mean, I'm just so happy to be here looking at things with everybody. Yeah, Amazon curling back up here as well. But you know what else we're curling back up to is going to be the green screen. See you guys tomorrow, same bad time, same bad channel. Sharif at the big green screen, guys.
Hey guys, welcome to the segment where you have your say every day from 2 to 2:20. We got the big kahunas locked in at the big desk. They're ready to look at the levels that you've